Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, boys and girls. You are watching the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. And you just heard the national anthem of Barbados. And tonight, folks, we have an amazing show lined up for you. You don't listen, you're not going to want to leave this program. You can leave this to switch to anything else. It's going to be just so mesmerizing. It's going to be educational. It's going to be motivational. Listen, we're doing Emma tonight, folks. Tonight, it is all about mobilizing and it's about agitation tonight, okay? So tonight on the show, we're dealing with Barbados, Dominica, and the Caribbean. We're asking the hard questions on the show tonight. We follow the money, as they say. Flyovers. We're going to talk a little bit at the top of the show about corruption or coincidence. Because nearly 30 years ago, Barbados saw its first flyover proposal. How many of you knew about that? So we're going to expose tonight the original plan for that and the questions around transparency, who are the players involved, and whether history is repeating itself today. Talking about accountability, folks. Then we're going to go to Dominica. Anybody out there been to Dominica before? Oh my goodness, a beautiful country, lovely green, lots of fruit, wonderful people. It's just feels lots. I mean, most of it feels so unspoiled. It doesn't feel so overdeveloped. It doesn't feel like you are in Bridgetown or you're in Kingstown. Or Kingston, Jamaica, right? It is so beautiful and so natural. It's a place where you go there and you are just at one with nature. So tonight we are going to be speaking to two persons from Dominica, voices from Dominica. These voices are raising serious concerns over the construction of a particular And so, because of that, there are some challenges that are happening with in terms of the violations of planning laws, disregard for local authority, and what they believe is disrespect for the Kalinago people and advocacy groups. We're going to look at that tonight. We also have Ian Griffith from a former DLP candidate and spokesperson, and he is going to be talking about why does St. Lucie still feel left behind, what has gone wrong, and what is the real plan for development. And of course, at 9 o'clock, the lines are open for you to call in and to share your views. What are your thoughts? What are your views? Yeah. All right. Well, let me go and greet everybody. Let me go and greet everybody. Hi, Teroni. Are you guys hearing me okay? Okay, you're now hearing me well? Are you all hearing me well this evening? Okay, somebody says I'm dipping in and out. All right. So we're gonna try to fix that. And okay, it's better. Is it better? Is the audio better? Yes. Aretha, somebody let me know. Let me know how is it now? Still not hearing properly. Aretha, is it better? It's still breaking up. Is it? Uh, Okay, just hang on. We're gonna try some. Okay, we're gonna get this fixed because we got to have this show. Hello, 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 hello. How is it now? Lucinda, how is it now? Can you tell me how it is now? Okay, so we just made changes. So can somebody let me know? Okay, Bihoy, any breaking at all? Okay. So okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All righty. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're not going to because of time. I'm just going to tell you what I'm just going to repeat what the show is about this evening. So we're looking at issues in Barbados, in Dominica, and of course the Caribbean. And we're asking the hard questions as we follow the money tonight. Looking at flyovers in Barbados, corruption or coincidence? Because nearly 30 years ago, Barbados, we saw our first flyover proposal. Believe it or not, tonight we're going to look at that. You don't want to switch the channel, as they would say. Stay with us. St. Lucie, we're going to look at that. The forgotten parish, we're going to sit down with Ian Griffith, former DLP candidate and spokesperson. Well, he's still current candidate and spokesperson for St. Lucie. He is going to be, he's a former candidate for St. Lucie, and he's now the spokesperson for the Democratic Labour Party. And we're going to look at St. Lucie. Then Dominica. There are some real challenges that the Kalinago people and advocacy groups are having in Dominica. And this has to do with a particular area there where there's some mining that is happening, which is affecting their water supply and their general, their environment. there's a disruption in their environment. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. And it sounds very familiar. They're talking about violations of planning laws and disregard for local authority. Sounds familiar, Barbados? Yeah. All right. So we're going to be discussing all of that tonight. But let me just go and greet everybody. I'm glad we're settled down now. Hi, Teroni. Good night. Marcia Miller, Mavis Lashley. How are you doing? Judy Jilks. How are you? Flo Joe Maloney. It's been a while. How are you? Did I say Mavis Lashley? Hey, Mavis. Mildred Ben. How are you? Queen D46. Annette Brewster, I'm a big girl. Lori Bob, I'm singing a little better. V. Hoy, good night. Monica Ince, good night. Beverly Perscott, good night. Michael Jilks, good night. Yes, welcome to the month of April, guys. It is April. Oh my goodness, April the 1st. And it's not, we're not playing any All Fools on here today. Anybody playing any All Fools today? I'm wishing you all the very best in the month of April. Calendar, 242, calendar. Joy at Ann, Rescue Beam. Miss Electronic Crazy, Bajan Boy, Rescue Beam. Marie Watson. I'm a big girl. Okay, everybody telling me the audio is better. Hey, Faramia from Dominica, please like and share. Flo Joe, it's good to have you again. Hi, Sandra. We want to welcome those who are watching from Dominica. Let me apologize for the top of the show where the audio was going in and out. I am so glad that we are settled now and everything is running. Well, let me just jump into some announcements. You know what's happening on Easter Monday. What's happening on Easter Monday? Who is coming to see me on Easter Monday? Anybody can tell me what's happening Easter Monday? It's the Easter Showcase at Praise Academy of Dance, Upper Column St. Michael, right? And it is Monday, April 6th at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Monday, April 6th at 6 p.m. And the admission is free. You can just walk with a donation for the school, for the children. I thank God for Angela, who's going to be bringing hot dogs and burgers and all of that for the children of Praise Academy. I just announced it on here and she said, Marcy, I will bring some hot dogs and burgers to them. Well, you might not have hot dogs and burgers to bring, but you could just bring your lovely self. And if you want to bring a donation for the school, that would be wonderful. And so we have a lot of dances are going to happen, all different forms. You have reggae, you have ballet, you have modern, you have some jazz, you have hip hop, right? It's going to be very powerful. We have some video presentations, music renditions. The children are going to sing, they're going to dance, they're going to read the scriptures. It's a beautiful environment. And you might have your young one and you say, Marcia, when you start back after Easter, I would like my child to join Praise Academy. Please call me. 236-7000. It's a wonderful space. We love on the children. They learn to dance. They learn more about God. They learn more about God. We don't play at our school. When they come, they have their devotions. They have their scripture reading. They have their prayers. It is a place where they learn about God and they learn to excel in the arts as well, okay? And they have a lot of fun. Yes, they have a lot of fun. Yes, so please come out. I will be able, it varies, Vihoy. So what you can do, anybody who's interested, I can send you the price list for the classes. All right. So you have, and we take them from 3 years old. All right. Now for that show, I'm asking this time not for money. Anybody out there have any palm branches? Do you have big palms and you can give me a couple branches? This is important for this production. Anybody has palm branches, call me 236-7000. We'll have to figure out how to get them from you. Palm branches. We're looking for palm branches. If you don't have palm branches and you know somebody who has palm branches, can we get some palm branches? That you have lots of lovely palms and you don't mind giving me a few branches, palm branches. Yes. We are looking. We're looking for also. We're looking for some buckets. Some buckets. Okay. So you know those white pigtail buckets. Anybody has any extra ones you can lend or donate to us at Praise Academy? Anybody? Those white buckets. It doesn't have to have a cover. Actually, it doesn't need to. It does not need to have a color. Have a cover. Miss Electronic Crazy has them, and she can fly them to me. Where you have those, Miss Electronic Crazy? That you're in the diaspora. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I also want to announce to you folks that I am starting an investigation series, an investigative series on Carifesta. I don't know if Dave is able to play that little ad for me. The name of it is the Carifesta Files, and that is going to start on Sunday evening. All right, and we're doing a 7-part series, the Carifesta Files. That was it, Dave. If it's just a flyer, that's okay. If we can't get the, okay, you can get the, yes. Okay, so we have a
Carifesta Files. The Carifesta Files, the People's Investigative series on the Marcia Weeks show.
Barbadians deserve answers.
Millions were spent.
This is not speculation. This is an investigation.
Where did it all go? It just vanished!
Listen, you're all like that? The first episode is gone with the wind. Vihoy says, Marcia, they're going to be pissed. Oh my goodness. So we are breaking it down. We're not letting it go. We are not letting it go at all, at all, at all. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. So that is the Carifesta Files, a People's Investigative series. And that is starting on Sunday. And you know what? We're doing it together. You know, if you have information, you send it to me and we're doing it together. This is what we're crowdsourcing it, right? we're doing this investigation. It's a people's investigative series. So we're doing it together. So I'm looking for information in my WhatsApp. All right. Send it to me and we're going to talk about it. We're going to bring it out. We're going to research it and bring it to the people of Barbados. And that is going to be starting on Sunday. How many of you interested in that? BI said I should call it the bottomless wells. They can come after the show. They won't catch the show. Teroni says you can hide and buy the land, but you can't hide and work it. That's right, Teroni. That's right. That's right. Yes, so I've been doing my research and I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Now, oops. Before I go, before we have about 8 minutes before our guests join us, I want to take us on a little journey here with the flyovers in Barbados. I want to take us on a journey. Guys, have we liked and shared as yet? I'm going to give you a minute or two to like and share. Share it in your WhatsApp groups. Share it in your WhatsApp groups, please. Tonight, we're going to take a couple minutes and we're going to talk about flyovers then and flyovers now. All right. And at 9 o'clock, you can hold your questions, hold your comments. If you have more information for me, let me know. Remember, we do this thing together. We are investigating together. All right. So we're looking at flyovers then and flyovers now. All right. At 9 o'clock, you'll be able to call in. And I'm hoping that on both, you'll be able to use both regular call or WhatsApp. You know, push come to shove, it will just be WhatsApp calls. All right. So flyovers then, flyovers now. I got some information the other day. And when I started to look at it, I saw that it was an Auditor General report from about 30 years ago. And I thought I wanted to do this segment, Barbados, because it is my belief that before we rush into the future, we need to deal with the past. Who agrees with that? Because what is being proposed today, Vihoy, looks very familiar. We're being told flyovers are coming. Construction could begin soon, the Prime Minister says. Completion within 18 months. And alas, she says even an underground transport is being discussed, which we're going to take a look at that another night to show you that I'm not sure in which country we're planning to put this underground transport. But that is quite very interesting. But we're talking about flyovers. As somebody says, we can't even deal with the potholes, but we're going underground, all right? But anyway, let's talk about the flyovers. We have been here before Barbados. If we go back to 2005, there's a project that's called Operation Free Flow. Operation Free Flow. And we're not talking about the flow of free flow of money, although that's what it seemed like. Like it's Operation Free Flow of cha-ching, money. That Operation Free Flow was supposed to be the solution to a traffic problem, or traffic was going to flow freely. And just like now, it was this same government. It was a BLP government. Back then, 30 years ago, presented everything the same way. Listen, they said modern solution. 30 years ago, you know, traffic relief. Big vision. But what happened next is what every Barbadian needs to understand. This is not my opinion, because they like to say that we on the show, you and I, that we make things up. So this is not about opinion. This is about what was officially found. Number one, if you're taking notes, the procurement process. Oh my God. You don't want to hear what happened there. The procurement process. The Auditor General examined that project. The only thing is that we don't have any Auditor General now. There's none appointed. We have somebody who's acting that the Prime Minister can move up and down and do whatever they want. This government can do that. But there is no appointed Auditor General in an independent role. But back then there was one, thank God. And here is what was found by the goodly Auditor General. The Auditor General said the tendering process raised serious concerns. One of the most troubling findings. You want to hear what it is? Who wants to hear what it is? Believe it or not, a company submitted a proposal to that BLP government 30 years ago before the official invitations were issued to others. Somebody reach out to their friend and company, to their favorites and their friends and family could be, and gave them an idea of what was happening. And that particular person, company, which the next show I'm going to go a little deeper into that company. And you're going to hear some things about it. That company submitted a proposal before the official invitations were issued to others. Let me say that again. A proposal came in before the process officially started. What do you all think about that? And the Auditor General said this. It raises questions about the integrity of the tendering process. Not my words. Not my text. The Auditor General's text. That's when we used to have a proper accounting and system and accountability system in place. Not speculation, not blogs. That is from the official audit. The integrity of the tendering process. The bids themselves, the audit also found the proposals did not properly match the project scope, and therefore they should have been rejected. If the proposals did not properly match the project scope, the proposal should be rejected. But instead, the government back then, the BLP government back then, moved the process forward. You're not going to hear that anywhere but here. Because all those other media houses in their pockets. But I'm reading from the Auditor General report. 2005. The numbers did not make sense. That's another thing that the Auditor General found. One proposal around Barbados, 60 million. And then another run around Barbados, 120 million. And later, there were big disputes over what cost actually included. And there were millions in additional claims. This was madness. This sounded like it had a big C word. There's a big C word that this is spelling right away. A big C word called what is that C word? Not the bad word here. Right? Corruption. So no proper evaluation, says the Auditor General. No proper assessment of contractors' financial capacity. No proper cost comparison. No independent engineering or financial advice. In other words, Barbados was making a major national decision without the technical foundation. You're listening? The audit also raised concerns that financing discussions happened before the process was properly structured. So government ended up carrying more risk than expected. So what was presented in Parliament and to the people as a structured project became something that was far less controlled. Did you know what? Did you know also that the Auditor General found that there were no full designs? They were starting without full designs. Construction began before designs were finalized. This is critical, Barbados. The rolling approach was used, meaning details were being figured out while the project was moving. Even the ministry at that time, which was part of the government, they warned that this could increase costs and this could reduce control, and yet it continued. Let's look at the contractor. And we're going to go into this a little bit more another night, okay? On Sunday night. There were public controversies surrounding individuals connected to the project, including legal disputes and allegations in other jurisdictions. And I'm going to deal with that on Sunday night. So we have to ask, was proper due diligence done 30 years ago in identifying or choosing a contractor? Were reputational risks fully considered, Barbados? We're talking about public money here. So let's quickly fast forward to today. I see my guests are coming in. Okay, we have our guests coming in from Dominica. I'm waiting on the other person. So I'll just continue a little bit until they get into the green room. Barbados, we're hearing again. Flyovers, major infrastructure, fast timelines, and now even underground tunneling. So to ask what has changed is not emotional. You agree? If we're going to ask what has changed, because you're giving us the same lingo, the same lines, we're hearing about the same flyovers, major infrastructure, fast timelines, modern. The question that must be answered before a single shovel hits the ground. We deserve to know, where are the technical and geological studies? They didn't do them last time, but they had started the project though. And it seems to me, listening to the Prime Minister, she already has a timeline that this is what they're planning to do, Barbados. Open your eyes. It is the same people, the same con artists. It's them. They're back at it again 30 years later. We don't have a proper hospital. Can barely buy food. But we're going to have a flyover. Is it that they've already determined who the contractor is before the proper tendering process and the procurement process is in motion? Where are the designs and the detailed plans? Government? Where are the environmental impact assessments, government? Where are the tender documents, government? Where was there a competitive bidding process? How are you going to tell us about 18 months? You think we're stupid? And then going around and talking about you having a town hall? It seems like you already have the thing planned out. Who are the contractors being considered? What is their track record on similar projects? Are we going to hear about them with criminal dealings in other countries? What is the full cost? We know that you like to balloon budgets. What is the full cost? And more importantly, where is the money coming from, government? We're not in a vacuum. Barbados, we're not in a vacuum. We're dealing with rising cost of living. There's global uncertainty right now. We are praying and hoping this war ends. There's fiscal pressure upon us as a government. This is not about being against development. And this is the same thing Dominica is saying. It is about understanding what is going on, because we have already seen what happens when the process is weak. And that is why, Madam PM, that is why Kirk Humphrey, that proposal was stalled by David Thompson because he saw the corruption and the crookery and the con artisans around it. And so he stopped it, as he should. We have already seen unclear scope, weak evaluation, rising costs, reduced control. We cannot afford to trust this process blindly. We must see the process, Barbados. We must understand the process of these flyovers, and we must verify the process. This is the reality. Infrastructure can help a country. It is true, but badly managed infrastructure can hurt a country for decades. And that is why, before we go forward, we must fully understand what happened before. The people need to know. We're not saying don't build, We're saying build it right or don't build at all. And everything I've shared with you is from the official audit. This is very serious, Barbados. And this is exactly very similar to what is happening in Dominica. I'm just waiting on my friends from Dominica to get set up properly, and they will let me know when they're ready. They'll give me a thumbs up because, funny enough, we are dealing with a similar thing in Dominica right now, and where they're trying to change the narrative. And you're going to hear from them, but they have some very, very important questions that they're asking their government. I'm going to ask you, everybody, to just before they come, I can see they're ready. I would like you to like and to share. Have you shared this yet? We want to get this information, what's happening in Dominica, out to as many persons as possible. Okay? We want this to go out to as many persons as possible. So we want you to share it. Yes? So I'm just giving you a moment to do that, to share. Let's get it out. Let's get it out all over Dominica, all over Trinidad, send it out, Barbados. We are brothers and sisters, because what I just spoke about is exactly what Janelle Brisbane and Gary Auguste, I think, is coming to speak on. They're going to correct me. Good night, Janelle.
Good night, Miss Weeks. How are you?
I am well. I am well. And I see Gary is right there as well. Good night, Gary.
Good night. How are you doing? It's Gary Auguste, like an
Auguste.
Auguste.
Like an Auguste.
Yes.
Oh, it's beautiful. Auguste and Janelle Brisbane. It's a pleasure to have you tonight on the Marcia Week Show. Welcome. And we are eager to hear about what is happening there in Dominica. I really am hoping, guys, that you are sharing, that you are liking, you are sharing, because this, what is happening before you, you're going to realize it's the same thing going on in St. Kitts and the Nevis, right here in Barbados, right? And here in Dominica. Let's put some context to this whole thing, Janelle and Gary. For viewers across Barbados and, of course, the rest of the Caribbean, can you describe again, I should have asked, is this Doe Branch?
It's Deboche.
Deboche. I
It
keep
means
hearing them saying that, and I actually wrote it down, Deboche, but I'm saying it seems French.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's French, but we pronounce it the Creole way.
Oh, that's why I'm saying "de," like two.
Yeah.
For French. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's de, repeat?
Deboche.
Deboche.
Gouache. Yes.
Deboche. Okay. Deboche. Okay. So can you describe the Deboche area for us and help us to understand who the Kalinago people are and why this land and river are so important to them?
Okay, I think I'll take this one. Thank you for giving us this space to share this information, first of all. We really appreciate it. My name is Gary Auguste. I'm from the community of Concord, which is 10 minutes away from the area that we call Deboche. So Deboche is derived from French, and which means two branches, because that's where two tributaries meet and create what we call the Pigua or the Concord River.
Concord River.
So I'm from the village of Concord. The river is also known as Pigua River as well, because it exits from the Pigua Bay. So Deboche is situated at the top of the village of Concord, right near the rainforest basically begins, and it is right next to our Central Forest Reserve as well as our Northern Forest Reserve, which is protected lands. And the area of interest for this quarrying project is situated just a few meters away from the river, as well as it is right next to the Northern Forest Reserve and the Central Forest Reserve. And so far, what we've seen, and we've gathered evidence to show that it has already encroached on protected land, which is the Northern Forest Reserve.
The Northern Forest Reserve. So,
Yes.
so let me ask you something, Gary. I see you. You to me, you look Indian, right? But having been to Dominica, I think I could. You're Kalinago.
Yes, yes, I'm indeed. I'm Kalinago. I'm from Kalinago territory has 8 hamlets. I'm from the hamlet called Tuna, which is Kalinago for water. And so our community has the largest amount of water in any of the other hamlets, with all of the streams and tributaries. And the main river is the Concord River or the Pega River. Right there, I see you shared an image. That is the Concord Pega River. That's a popular pool, which we call Majo Basse. Yeah, so it's a very popular area that people come across the island to swim and have picnics and other recreational activities. But what we're seeing happening right now, the activities in Debuash, because it's at the headway of the water system, the river system, and there is a lot of water pollution that is going down into the water. And so it's affecting the village and the people below, the businesses who use the river, because this river is a popular river tubing spot. So a lot of people come here just to river tube in Dominica's rivers, and this is one of the main rivers for that.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Oh my God, it looks so good. I love the rivers. I went to a couple of them when we were there as well. So I'm watching it and smiling. Janelle, I saw you with a. Are you the person that had the placard? You had a placard in one of the.
Yes.
Yeah, many,
Oh my girl, she's a girl after my own heart, man. So you're an activist, and are you part of the Kalinago community as well?
Yeah, so actually we were all holding placards. Well, Gary was probably holding the placard first. I'm of Kalinago descent, I'm mixed heritage, but we're both activists. So both Gary and I are conservation biologists, interdisciplinary ecologists. So we study wildlife, we study the forest, but we also study how people coexist with the forest, right? We don't believe that we are separate from nature. And that stems from our Kalinago belief that nature is a part of us. Nature is a living relative. She's our mother, and the river is also a living relative. The river is a heartbeat of our societies. It's essentially the world's bloodline, right? Like flowing through everything, giving life to everything. And so this is why this is an especially important cause for us, because this is not just protecting an area. This is protecting life across all planes.
Yes, very very interesting there. And you're biologists and environmentalists
That's
yeah,
correct.
as well. So it's not just like you're part of the area, but you also have the professional eye, the professional insight into what is happening, which I think is important. And so Janelle, what exactly is taking place on the ground right now, and how does what you're seeing compare to what the authorities are telling the public of what is happening?
Yeah, so well, I guess at the time Gary and I were the two very active ecologists on the island. And this being so close to where Gary currently lives and is from, and us being, the conservationists that we are, as soon as we saw the large amount of earthworks that started happening in the area.
The larger, tell us again, 'cause
Earthworks.
slow it down for us because we don't know what's happening. So explain
Okay.
to us. Yes.
Yes, yeah. So we also did not know at the time what was happening. So we just saw this large amount of earthworks happening in an area where earthworks, so earth movement, because we didn't know at the time, is somebody clearing land? Are they mining? Are they building a hotel? Like, we had no idea what was going to happen in this space at the time. But we knew that this was either inside or next to our protected lands. And shortly after, what really got our attention on all of this is that our river turned brown. And for the next month, the river didn't stop being wrong. And if anybody knows anything about Dominica's rivers, this is the most unusual sight ever. We knew that we had an ecological disaster on our hand, but not just an ecological disaster. There's an entire community that was going to be severely impacted. This is our main water source in our indigenous land, and we had no idea what was taking place whatsoever. So we just looked at each other one day and we said, like, we got to do something about this, because, you know, we are the people who came back home with our expertise to contribute to our island. And if not this, then what did we get educated for? You know, essentially.
Yes.
So we shifted into high gear, and we started walking the river, collecting water samples, documents as much as we can. We started writing letters, asking questions, seeing whatever information that we can gather. And Gary actually made like the very good connection with this area. So from the 1960s, so for the past 60 years, Daywash at different points in our history has been explored for mineral deposits. This is the site in Dominica that is known to have copper and gold anomalies. So
Really?
Gary had me. Yes. Ta-da! In a tropical volcanic island, it's typical to find these mineral concentrations. It's just a matter of how much. So Gary had made a video, talking about the history of this site. There's a scientific paper that was like, because in the 90s, they were actually going to mine Dominica for copper. Sorry. I keep forgetting we have to put all this into context.
Yeah, because
this is news to us. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you had gold and copper and all these minerals.
Yes. Dominica is rich in these minerals, and it's something that's been known since the 60s. But what I did was I made videos because it's a bit of a hobby of mine to make videos, and because of my academic background, reading research papers, it kind of came natural, like I should combine these two, especially something that's so important. Yes. And once we found that paper that talked about copper mining in Dominica since the 1990s, back when I was a baby, I had no idea this was happening. So I decided to read it and made it a product that people could understand. So everybody could, just the general audience can understand, not just the technical stuff. And what we found from this paper is that a large portion, 12% of the island was actually licensed for mining. And that would have destroyed the Kalinago territory. It would have destroyed three watersheds, the Layu, the Pego, and the Casabruce watershed to extract those minerals. But thankfully, the conservationists at the time and those who defended the area at the time got it to stop, and that company withdrew from Dominica. And there's a real serious thing back then, and we are not taught this in our history. Like, we had to actually find a paper that talked about it. People from the generation before us can recall it, but in my generation and after me, we had no idea. So that video blew up, and it really got people's attention. And it really got the developers and the people who are doing this project attention, because at the time we had no clear idea of what is actually going on. We know they are excavating the land, but what for exactly? What are they looking for? And then all of a sudden we find this paper that says, hey, this exact area has a lot of copper and stuff that could be excavated.
And I see people here. This is the community comes to the river. I realize that in Dominica, it is a place where it's not just. I don't know if this is the same river. We're just showing rivers. We don't know if it's Concord, but I know that of Dominica rivers and the falls. That's where people. The community comes there. But let me ask you something, Janelle. Over what time period did you see, from the time you saw the excavation, right, happening, the movement of the earth, and then your water starts to become brown? Give me the time frame.
Okay, so the real earth movement started in about August last year, so August 2025. Yeah. And then the river consistently turned brown from September 2025.
Wow, a
And it
month
stayed
later.
brown. Yeah, yeah, it stayed brown up until November. So when Gary first put out the video making the connection to the site, that is the first time any official ever took on the community and ever bothered to educate the community about what was happening here. That's the first time we heard any reasoning behind it, any information behind it. It was like, what, 4 days later, we were at a community meeting with the developer trying to explain what was going on. And that's the wider, the community that's been affected, Concord, but also the wider community. That's the first time we got that information. So then Gary made another video to educate the public on what was going on whilst we continued to monitor, continued to collect our water samples. And it's only after November, when public pressure started being put on, did our authorities do anything about it. So in December 1st, our physical planning authority actually put a stop order in place. And it was from then on that the river stopped running brown, when all operations at the site were halted.
Yes. Oh my. Wow.
Yeah.
So it was a
It took a
direct
lot of writing.
impact. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
directly
direct.
impacting the water source. And tell me, Gary, what describe for me what happens with that water in your community. Break that down for us, because a lot of us, people might not. You were talking about this river, and they might, come on, what are you thinking about a river? You know, what's the importance of it to your community, modern day, right now, Gary?
Well, the river is life. River is life for everything in our environment. We can't sustain life without water. And Dominica is known as the land of rivers. We have 365 rivers. That's a slogan, but I'll be honest, we do not have 365 rivers due to the effects of climate change. A lot of our rivers have they are drying up. We have seen that. A lot of other rivers in Dominica are also being affected by different projects as well. And now we're seeing a river that is directly affecting an indigenous community, the Kalinago people. And we are raising our concerns, and yet the project is still going forward. This river has primarily been used for recreation. As I said before, a lot of businesses use it for river tubing, but there's also a bit of folklore to the river, like this Kalinago stories about people using the river for different stuff. And so there is a cultural connection to it as well. It also serves as the boundary for the Kalinago territory. So that's the boundary line. So now you are basically hurting the boundary and the lands of our people, my people. Mm-hmm. And so this is what is going on now. And the people were not consulted that this was going to happen. And I think that's one of the most hurtful things. Other than the environmental damage, the people aspect, the social aspect was never considered.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you specifically, because I hear when you said that the people were not considered, believe it or not, that we're dealing with those kinds of issues here. There's a lot of development happening in Barbados. In fact, it is said by our government that Barbados will be like Dubai on steroids. So we are experiencing that. And you, as you were waiting, you probably would have heard me talking about some of those issues, right? But there is a narrative that those of you like yourself, who are raising concerns against this development, that can you clearly explain your position, say, for example, on the airport? Because there are people who are trying to say you want the airport stopped, and that you have a problem with development and the involvement of foreign partners. Can you set the record straight on that?
We do welcome development for sure. We are not against the international airport. We have never said that we're against the international airport. This has always been from the start, trying to figure out what is happening to our environment, to our community, without being properly consulted. And it just so happens that this project is in relationship to the airport, because from the developers' mouth, they said that this project is to get stone aggregate to help supply the international airport. However, yes, that can happen. that a project can happen. However, what we've been noticing and what we've been reading through is that this project has not gone through proper procedure. And and even physical planning division, the authority for planning in Dominica, they have done a stop order in December because this project was not approved. It was not approved because they hadn't properly done the ESIA and the protocols for this project to begin with. So why is there such huge levels of excavation? We're talking acres of land have already been deforested. Huge retention wall has been put in place. There's built an access road, and yet the project hasn't been approved.
That is that. But let me bring Janelle in this. Janelle, is that normal where you are going to see a project started without any environmental impact assessments, no public consultation, no access to information, the legal process is not followed? Is that normal in Dominica?
Yeah, so before I answer that, I want to add to what Gary was saying. You know, both him and I are still youth. We're children of nature and we're also children of technology. So in no way are we against development. Like, it's the whole reason that we can sit here in 2 different islands and be able to reach people in more islands, you know, and spread this information and educate and have these open discussions. We're also highly traveled individuals. So we want an airport, we want access to our islands, not just for tourists to come in, because we don't like that narrative of us in tourists before our own people. We want an airport so that we can also experience and learn and bring that back home. It's how we got educated and how we got back to our island to educate, right? We also started this whole movement before we even knew the connection to the airport. We were just very concerned with what was happening and the fact that the community was not involved and the laws were being broken. So they eventually came in with the narrative of this being for the airport, but that was after the fact. So to say that we're doing this because we're against the airport, we didn't even know that to start. So we're just gonna keep going. But it is not. I would unfortunately say, like you said, you know, Barbados is also going through the same thing. And in starting this movement, we have good friends in Grenada who are also fighting the same battle, and in Antigua and Barbuda and so on, and Jamaica, you know. So it was a very much so sharing of knowledge and lessons learned that helped us get started into this space. And unfortunately, it is a pattern that is happening in the Caribbean right now, where it's not supposed to be the normal. At one point in our histories, it was not the normal. You know, these laws were here for a reason, and they were in place to govern both private and public sector, right? Because the interest was for the betterment of the people in place and not personal things. So no, overall it is not supposed to be normal, and I would say for the private sector it's still not normal. But unfortunately, we are seeing a pattern emerge with certain development projects that are bypassing you know, the environmental social impact assessments, bypassing permits, bypassing our regulatory bodies. Like Gary said, Daywash has no permits. None whatsoever. And that's why they have a stop order from physical planning, is because they had to put a stop to it because they're doing it without permits. Up until this month, again, physical planning wrote stating, you know, that they are prohibited from operating the equipment because they have no permits. So,
oh my goodness. And this is this is something major that is happening in the country, but how could they have started without permits? I mean, we're also hearing, you know, figures like hundreds of thousands of cubic meters of material, and it says here thousands of truckloads. Can you help us to understand the true scale of this project and what that would mean for the communities on a daily basis? And just to even think that all of this you could be moving this amount of material without permits. But what does this really mean for the community on a daily basis? And give us an understanding of the true scale of this project.
So we're not civil engineers. Oh, Gary, go ahead. Sorry.
You could follow up, Janelle. I'm just going to give a little brief on what we saw between the months of September, October, November, which was when they was really active on the roads. So at Deboash, there was about 20 to 30 workers every day, and the trucks were moving topsoil to other locations. And from that 3-month period, there was a lot of dust on the highway. There's a lot of mud also on the highway. And we have a primary school that is right next to the highway. And we've heard from the teachers and from concerned parents that they are scared for their children because these trucks are just moving zoom on the road, and there's more trucks with huge amount of load. But also, they can't even properly teach their lessons because the trucks are so heavy, like they're basically shaking the school, and it's too much noise. So the teachers had to be stopping their lessons to accommodate the trucks passing by. And this was just at the beginning of it. So if this project had to go on for another two years, I think was the estimated time they were given once it's properly established, what we would see is a complete disturbance of the community by noise by the trucks, by dust by the trucks, but also we could also see noise and vibration by the explosives themselves.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yeah, but also we have to remember that what they've done so far is just basic earth movements. They have not actually started any mining process in and of itself. So if our river turned so brown for so long, if, you know, like our farmers are reporting an increase in human wildlife conflict with all the birds migrating to the land, I mean, it's not just that area. There are other areas. Yeah, there are other areas nearby.
Tell me more about that, because we have a similar situation in Barbados where we're finding all these egrets. I mean, like hundreds of them at our hospital now. All of a sudden, in this tree, we need to consult with you all. So we on our show we were trying to figure out. I wonder if their habitat was disturbed. But tell me more about the birds, please, Janelle.
Yeah, it could be because we have so many land disturbing projects in the area. Like there's a lot of habitat loss going on, a lot of noise disturbance, a lot of vegetation killing, right? So these birds are losing their nesting sites, their feeding areas, their roosting areas, and their farms. There are a lot of farms nearby with a lot of juicy fruits that are a lot quieter, filled with things that they can use at all times. So what farmers in the area have actually been complaining of is seeing these animals migrate more into their areas because they are losing these feeding and nesting and roosting areas. So it's kind of concentrating them into a space. Yeah. I'm not quite sure like what the habitat destruction looks like in the area around the hospital. Like if perhaps there was a wetland that once used to be nearby and all of a sudden this has shifted into maybe artificial water or artificial nesting by the hospital, and so the birds are literally just trying to figure it out. But yeah, that tends to happen because it's either you migrate or you die, and any animal is going to try and do their best to survive. And so you look for the next greenest pasture, right? And in our area, that's the farm.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've already seen it in our community because Dominica is blessed to have 2 parrot species because we have such a rich rainforest, and one of the species called the jackal parrot is it's not a shy bird. It flies in flocks, and that area that they are currently excavating has displaced a lot of jackal parrots, and people in the village of Concord and the nearby communities have feeling the effects of the jackals. Farmers have said they are seeing more birds in the area now, and anybody who knows the jackal parrots, they could destroy a lot of citrus fruits. They could bite through cocoa shells like with ease. They're very strong beaks, and so farmers are feeling the effects of it so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys, as somebody said, this is an absolutely great conversation. People, you got to like and share, because we have been, as citizens, we in Barbados, Janelle and Gary, we have been discussing this. It's like almost every show we're dealing with another issue. And when I saw this, I sent it to my friend in Dominica, and I said, "Oh my goodness, look at this." And he said, I said, "Can you come on to speak about it?" And he said, "I better yet, I'll get the people who are dealing with it." And what's so wonderful, Janelle and Gary, I must say, you are young people. Well, to us, you look young. You're young people, and you are trained. You're professional. You're professional. You're biologists and environmentalists. And you said something so important. And people have picked up on it. You said, if we can't do this, you something like, why did we get educated? One of you said it. It's so powerful. It's such a powerful statement, because here it is. You are children of what's in it, the Concord. Like you yourself, Gary. You live very close there. You're Kalinagos. That's your heritage. And you have been trained up. You now have the education in order to defend it. And that is just amazing. Tell me about the response you're getting from your fellow Kalinagos. Is that what you call it? Kalinagos?
Yes, Kalinagos. The response we've been getting has been pretty alarming. Like, people had no idea this was going on.
No.
I must say, through the months of February and March, they have been. It's not just us, Team Save the Wash. There are other groups we should mention who have helped along the way. There are people from different backgrounds who have joined in. We have the WAVE group, we have the Kalinago Council, we have Jerry Brisbane, Afimate, major conservationist people in Dominica who have come in and helped us. Yes, we are the youth, but we could also lean on these great people who are before us. But in the Kalinago territory, there was mobilization in different communities over the months of February to March. So I was invited as a guest speaker by an NGO, Kupunul, a Kalinago NGO. They facilitated community meetings, and I was just a guest speaker to educate the public on what's going on.
Yes.
And we went through all the hamlets, and we gave them a decision to what action points that they wanted to do, because we didn't want to push our narrative on them, like what we want them to do. We were asking them, what you want to do now that you have this information. And different communities had different decisions that they wanted to do. All of them were saying that we should go out there and be physically protesting. Another community said, no, we need to take more legal action and filing the paperwork, because making noise isn't all what it's about. And some other people said, oh, we need to investigate more. And others said, like, we should do nothing because my village is far away. It's not going to affect me. So you also had those, and it was good to see and hear feedback from the community. And of course, that was only a sample pool. We did not get to the thousands of people that live in the Kalinago territory, but it does give us a clear image of how the people feel right now. And the people are feeling that they are not included in these major projects, because why is it me, the one who's coming to educate them on what's going on there? It should be the developers, it should be the contractors coming to tell them what's going on and give them the proper details.
Yes, and people from the planning and development and the government and all of them. So Janelle, that's what's happening in the hamlets, as you call it, with the Kalinago people. But what about the people, the other Dominicans outside of the hamlets? What kind of support are you getting from them?
Yeah, so it's essentially about the same. There are a lot of people from outside the territory who are coming in to support our movement, who are standing with us there at the site. Yeah, like, for example, we had one of our, I guess, he's essentially one of our biggest musicians to come out of Dominica. Our reggae icon, Nasio Fountain, started standing at the site, and he's actually the one who blocked the equipment, or tried to block the equipment initially from entering the site when the stop order was in place. So we have so many people across the age groups, across the professions, people who are there professionally or people who are there simply because they're concerned from the community, not from the community. We have some diaspora who have even come in on what was supposed to be a vacation and end up spending it at the site, so there has been a lot of support. Just like with what we're seeing in a lot of islands, with the economic state we're going through, with a lot of people working in public service, young people trying to start small businesses. There is a bit of a fear of speaking out. Gary and I saw a fair share of this before we even got.
That was my next question. You guys seem so bold and strong on here. Is there any element of fear of, retaliation, victimization, marginalization, that kind of thing? Janelle, you were saying?
Yeah, when it comes to fear, I don't know if it's the naturalistness or perhaps the ancestral spirituality. Fear is, why be afraid of life, right? You have to let life unfold the way it needs to unfold, and if whatever happens to us is our destiny, then so be it. But we're not going to allow for fear to take control and to prevent us from doing what is right. Can you imagine if our ancestors were afraid? Where would we be right now in our islands? And I have a niece. I have younger cousins. I'm not going to allow them to put me into a space of intimidation and to stand back and then to watch my niece and my younger cousins grow up in a space that I'm not even proud of. Because there's going to come a day, obviously, where Gary and I are no longer the young people. Will be the ones that they then look up to and start questioning, just like we question, what on earth did you do? Why didn't you fix this when you had a chance? And so we're going to do everything that we possibly can. Obviously, we're not going to put ourselves in harm's way. And we're going to do our best to not get arrested. They can act on their own, whatever, but we're not going to break the law, because this is all about protecting people's rights, and protecting the rights of nature, protecting our indigenous rights. So be it. I guess it sounds bad to say it that way, but I rather it be us than my niece,
Listen, Janelle, we're getting live from you all. You are the Caribs, right? Am I right with that? Kalinagos. But we see you guys as the warrior ones, right? So listen, we need you all to be fearless, to be out there fighting. And we're getting a lot of life and energy from you, because we are dealing with it here in Barbados in a very, 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 very strong way. We've had to have marches, Janelle. We've seen a whole senator fired over this, because the senator challenged the government. The government senator challenged their own government on the overdevelopment. This is very serious. And what did our prime minister do? Just fired her. That's what we are dealing with, here in Barbados. But I want to ask you, Gary, there's a stop order for them to they need to stop, but it seems like they want to continue. What are the long-term risks if the project continues?
Oh, okay. So yes, there is a stop order in place, and stop order is a cease and desist of all operations or construction before getting first approval. And we haven't seen any approval, and the chief physical planner has confirmed that there has been no approval. However, there has been an approval to construct the crusher, but not operate it. So why are you doing this if you don't have the intent of approving the entire project to begin with? At the same time, we've seen comments from physical planning division themselves looking at the ESIAs and really breaking down a lot of what they see that is wrong or what is missing in this ESIA. And we've seen it ourselves reading through the ESIAs for the past 2 weeks, and our brain went to mush for a bit, because they gave us such a short time to read over 800 pages and to submit comments. Thankfully, we were able to submit about 132 comments and a 41-page document to them. So hopefully they have a good time reading it and would respect what we wrote. But I feel like the long-term effects, if this is to continue, is that we're going to continue seeing pollution into the river. We're going to continue seeing a lot of excavation work in that area. And this area is full with other minerals other than copper. There's signs of lead, there's signs of mercury, there's signs of arsenic. And we have already seen signs of that in the water from the ASI reports that the developers themselves have done. And I'm sure Janelle would love to speak on that.
Yeah, Janelle, let her speak, because I want to know, have you seen those traces in your drinking water, Janelle?
Well, so a little bit of a backstory before we get into that. As Gary said, we did see the ESIA. So after months of public pressure, it got to the point where they did release the ESIA. It was actually over 800 pages specific to that site, but it was actually over 1,000 pages. And they gave us 10 days to view the document. They only published it in their office. And you only had an hour and a half to spend with each document. So 10 viewing days, you had to, Kalinago territory is about an hour away from town now. So you would have to really, yes. They refused to put a copy in the Kalinago territory. So what, I wasn't on island at the time, but what Gary and the team did is that we had permission to take photos, not knowing what we were going to do with those photos. We took pictures of every single one of those pages.
Wow.
And we put it online. And then we printed a copy of each and put a copy in the Kalinago Council so that the people can have access to the documents, because access is at the heartbeat of everything that we do, people first. So after reading through all those...
You put the people's stuff online?
Yes. We actually got banned from the office.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
I love your people, man. I love, man, give me a high five there. Man, I love it. So listen, they were trying, they gave you 10 days, only an hour and a half, 800 pages. You have to travel an hour, and you went there, my young people, man, and you take pictures and you put them up online. Oh God, I love it. Continue. I had
made a public document public, essentially.
Yeah.
The law says so.
Yeah, and then because it happened, because I was part of the group that did it on the first day, we went back to the office, just to relook at the documents to make sure that nothing changed, because we're like, okay, maybe there's some tampering. Like, we just want to verify, because if you're given all these restrictions, like, we don't want to believe that they would do it, but like, we're just making sure. When we went in the office, the chief of planning spoke to us directly, and he was like, you guys are no longer allowed in the boardroom to view these ESIAs because of what you did. You distributed these documents, because we made them into PDFs, and we made them available to everybody through a link. We've sent
that is what they should have been doing. They should have done that.
Yeah, so we made it public, and they told us we can't do it. And so when we asked why are we getting basically banned, and he said we'd have to answer to the permanent secretary of housing, because he can't answer that question now as the chief of planning. He's like, you have to talk to my boss, who's the PS of housing. We then went to his office, and he wasn't available, and so we went on our way. It was like, okay, shoot, we got banned. Well, we still have the digital copies. We don't directly have to go there, but we just continue reading at our own pace.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is phenomenal. Go ahead, Janelle.
A fun twist in this. So just like with what happened in Grenada with their small wind, the Grenada land actors, a couple of weeks ago, we had a previous chief physical planner here, Miss Annie Edwards, has a court case with physical planning over the international airport, because she represents the community where it's happening, and they also did not publish some of the ESIAs and follow the proceedings. So a couple of weeks ago, the judge ruled that physical planning needs to follow the law and publish these documents. So when that happened, we were no longer banned from physical planning. It's just, it was great timing for us.
I love it. I love it, guys. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
so excited because oftentimes, we hear young people that, they're not involved, and we're trying to get a lot of our young people here in Barbados to be involved. A lot of our professionals, to be honest, I know this interview is about Dominica, but I just want to tell you this. A lot of our professionals here, they are scared because our government, remember, we don't have anybody, we don't have an opposition. So a lot of our professionals, environmentalists, biologists, they are usually hired by the government, and so they dare not open their mouths. So we're seeing the overdevelopment is happening, and we're not hearing anything much. It's just like regular people, activists like myself and these people who are watching tonight. We go out on the streets and try to educate. We research and educate. At least you guys have the knowledge, and I'm just so encouraged by what you are doing. Everybody who's listening, I mean, people are just like in amazement at you all, because this is really this is what we want our young people of the Caribbean to do. You're now educated. You've come back home. Come back and protect us. Protect this land. Protect our region. And that's what you're doing. I mean, it just feels so spiritual as well. But let me ask you, Gary, and because oh my goodness, time is going. Oh my Lord. I wanted to ask you, what is the message? What message you want to give to the people of Dominica? And even more broadly to the Caribbean? What is at stake in this situation right now? What is at stake? Say it plain for us. What is at stake?
What is at stake, not just the environment, but just the whole process of how projects are run in Dominica. I think that is even bigger at stake. Yes, we want to protect the environment, and we understand there's procedures that's supposed to happen, but we're seeing these procedures completely ignored. So if this happens for this project, what's to stop the developers, that stop the government from doing even bigger projects, or even projects that are going on right now? Now that is getting people to question the other projects that's going on right now. Like, do they have did they follow proper protocol? Did this ESIAs? Like, that is the big thing that's going on. Like, the government or the developers are not following proper procedure, and these major projects are going on. And if they are going into our protected lands without permission, if they're polluting a river and affecting the community, what's to stop them from doing something even more major than that? I feel like that's where we stand our ground, and we need to stand for the bush and stand for proper procedure.
Yes. And Janelle, I would love to know, what is the ruling government? I don't want to get you into politics, but I think I have to ask because it's like the elephant in the room. What is the ruling government saying about this? Have you met with the ruling government? I know planning and development, obviously that would be a ministry in the government, but the cabinet, are they aware of what is happening? And have you gotten any responses from them, Janelle?
Yeah, so actually I used to work for government. Fun fact. I was one of those youths that came back home and eventually found myself inside of forestry for some time and left forestry for obvious reasons. But what I would have to say from that experience is that there are a lot of people within our government systems who are in support of this, who are very supportive. One of my biggest lessons is that our islands have the technical capacity. We have the people with the know-how. And quite often you just find out that people are either discouraged or burnt out or silenced in various ways, or intimidated into these spaces. But a lot of the information that we've gotten, a lot of the things that we've been able to do have come from the help of the technical persons inside of our government. Now, the Minister of Environment, who I worked under, is also the Minister of Kalinago Upliftment. He's a parliamentary representative for the Kalinago people. And unfortunately, we have never been able to have a one-on-one, well, not even a one-on-one, but he's never come to us or come to the community directly to speak on this matter.
And he's the representative?
Yes. He is a representative. We've had one interaction with him, and that's because they had a site visit at Dewash, and our Kalinago chief, Chief Annette Sanford, had asked Gary and I to assist her with being be her technical advisors for the day, in essence. And so he was there representing the government and speaking, and so we were able to sneak in our questions into the media and be able to have this dialogue. But that was in January, and here we are in April now. But I mean, we have been saying this for the longest while. We've been asking for an open dialogue. They tell us that they have their geotechnical reports. They tell us that they have their scientific reports. We published everything we've done online. We actually had a professor, Professor Simon Mitchell from the University of the West Indies in Mona, Jamaica, come across and help us to do an independent geological review of the area. Yeah, because we believe in science and the data. And again, there's so many people in the region who have the expertise. You know, we're all like little pieces of puzzles that perfectly fit together. So once we have the ability to come across our borders, because Caribbean traveling is very expensive and hard. Once we have that ability to be able to enter into each other's spaces, you know, there are a lot of people who have the expertise and the willingness to help. So he came across and we put our geo report out there. We gave it to them in person, like, here you go. This is what the report says. Now show us yours, right? Here's all of our data. Here's all the research we did on the site, including the historical research. Show us yours. And it's been about 6 months of asking them to show us yours. And we're still here. But yeah, we've written to physical planning. You know, we did get the stop order documents and the compliance notice. They did put it in place because of public pressure, but also because of, I guess, you know, staying true to their profession. And we did get the ESIA documents. So we're just hoping that with all of our comments in, you know, we received a document recently showing that physical planning does think along the same lines as us when it comes to the comments and what is lacking in these ESIAs. We didn't even touch on that. I know this is going on another tangent, but the ESIAs that they produce for Dewash actually contain information from 4 separate projects in Dominica. So like the air quality data and noise data, they took it from a completely different site. The biodiversity data came from a different site. What? The stakeholder analysis and consultations came from another site. Yeah, it's like a complete...
But hold a minute. You all won't say that this is a whole lot of corruption here.
That's
corruption.
That's what passport ESIA, I guess. And they did it 3 times, and in each one they proposed... So at first they proposed 80 acres for the area. Then we plotted the area and it turned into 160s when we plotted their own map. So it's 160 acres they were aiming for. And then they submitted a new proposal, bringing it down to 19 acres, but the site is actually over 20 something acres. So they keep like changing the story, what they need the material for. But the ESIA is completely devoid of information as to the type of rocks that they're aiming for. You know, essentially any scientific or geotechnical study. Gary and I reading through that, and our team, there's a lot of people behind us on our team, and young people too. But just looking at these documents, we know that AI wrote these documents. Like, it's very clearly done by artificial intelligence from the way it sounds.
They just gathered information. Yeah, and
they just threw a bunch of math. Yeah. But for us, I mean, that's very disrespectful on so many levels. One, disrespectful to our intelligence, that you think that you can produce false maps of Dominica and false information and give that to the people and think that the people are going to read this and take it as face value and not question it. That in itself is an insult, but it's also an insult because you obviously did not give this the care that it needs. Our environment is our protector. Like, there's nothing on this planet You know, like what, without nature, we would not exist. She fed us, she grew us. She's a reason that we are, and that we will continue being. And then our communities deserve better than that, than you just throw in some nonsense on a piece of paper that's not even from the site. You know, you're not even properly reflecting what the community said. And that this has been it, like the consistent pattern throughout all of this. Like, it's just absolutely disgusting and it's disrespectful, and our communities deserve better. And that's what Gary, myself, and the team that's with us is fighting for, is for that betterment, is for that voice. Because if we don't do it, then what's going to happen? We've entered this slippery slope of, like, if they get away with this, with breaking so many laws, because it's not just a physical plan act, that in our protected areas, they're breaking indigenous rights. You know, that they're breaking so many things, our Mines and Minerals Act. If they get away with breaking over 5+ different laws, what then stops them from doing absolutely anything else?
Yes. Wow. This, you guys have to come back. Somebody said that, and we really need to follow up on that. And I tell you, I would love to come with my camera and see what is happening there. I'm serious about it because I feel a spiritual connection to what you're talking about, and I just cannot believe that they were moving ahead without permission, and doing all of this kind of moving of the ground, of the earth, and causing disturbance in the river and to your ecosystem. So I just want to thank you both for joining and for educating us this evening about what's happening. We really want to follow up. There's a situation in St. Kitts. We're going to follow up on that as well. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow to connect you with some more people, and you the same. I want to hear from those from Antigua and those from Grenada, because we need to share notes to see what is happening to our beautiful Caribbean region. Thank you so much, Gary and Janelle. God bless you. Thank you. Keep up the
Thank
good work.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
God bless
I
you.
appreciate everyone listening.
Yes. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness, folks, that was wow. That was wow. That was wow. That's all I can say, is that we've been fighting on our own here without professionals. And here it is, you have these people who are environmentalists, biologists, young people. And look how they love their land. Look how they love their country. Hey, Hector, I saw you out there, Hector. Oh my goodness. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is amazing. And they're so respectful. They don't even want to blame the government. They're such lovely children. They're nice. But we know the adults, we know what's going on. We know what's going on. But I know they're yeah. But anyway, let's we're gonna move on, guys. I'm loving this. I love this interview. But let's go right to St. Lucie, because in St. Lucie, those of you who are watching from Dominica, don't come up. Stay on Dominica, because you're going to hear about St. Lucie. It's a beautiful parish in Barbados. But if you ever see the condition of our water, I'm here looking around if I can find a bottle. I keep a bottle close here of the water that comes out of the tap in St. Lucie. Dave, please put up something for me. And Mr. Ian Griffith is here, and he is the DLP candidate for St. Lucie. Did very well. Came into the game a little late, but he did very well. And I'm really honored to have him to talk to us about St. Lucie. What is happening with the water issue in St. Lucie? We have a real crisis, a humanitarian crisis in St. Lucie. Really, you know what? We're forgetting what is really happening. These people are the kind of water that they are drinking that's coming through their tap and going on for years, can't get it fixed, washing their clothes. What's happening to St. Lucie? The election is over. What's going on? Well, Mr. Griffith is here with us. Let me take this moment to welcome him. Welcome, Mr. Griffith.
Hi, good evening, Marcia. Good evening, Barbados, and the wider parts of the world, the Caribbean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is a pleasure having you here tonight. It's actually my first interview with you
It is
because,
my turn.
yeah, the election season, everybody, you all were so busy working, doing so much,
That's right.
and but election is over, and I just want to commend you, sir, in putting up a great fight. Some people believe that you won, but you don't have to answer that. But you
Thank
did
you.
very well. What did you think about your efforts in St. Lucie?
Well, like you said earlier, we did start late in the game after the unfortunate death of Alvin Toppin. When I decided to enter the race, I didn't want to do anything until after the funeral, which then, I was ratified in only at the beginning of, I think it was December. So I was on the ground somewhat, but having my first time being involved in politics, there was a lot that I really would not have known. But having been a St. Lucie person all my life, it was a little bit easier in a sense to get around to persons. But the elections being called in early February 11th, that proved to be a challenge because we really did not have the time to go out to visit persons in a number of areas who, though some of them I may have known, but knowing them in a different capacity, having to introduce myself as a candidate for an election, it's a whole different ball game, and we didn't have much time to do that. And elections was called early February, and before elections was called, campaigning was pretty much. I mean, it's like 3 weeks of campaigning, and there wasn't really much time to really touch base with all the persons that we really wanted to touch base with. But it was a learning experience, very good experience, and I thank the many people of St. Lucie who voted for me, and many of those who didn't get to vote as well. That was another issue. But I want to thank the entire parish of St. Lucie for having their confidence to come up to vote and even consider me. For those who actually considered who vote for me and didn't vote for me, I still thank them as well.
So, you talked about the experience being a learning experience. It was short, but a learning experience. What were the highs and what were the lows? Let's start with the high. What's a high point for you in the campaign? What was a high point for you, sir?
Well, I would say that one of the high points for me, or I should say, some of the high points was the fact that many persons were very keen on having proper representation. There are many people in St. Lucie who had expressed confidence. I think some of the people in St. Lucie were very, very confident, and I even at times worried about that sort of overconfidence or complacency. They actually felt that no, well, they would say things like, Ian, oh man, you got this, you can get this. And they were very confident. And that came even after the election. A lot of people, I had many, many calls from persons in St. Lucie, throughout the Caribbean, many places in the United States and England. Persons were expressing shock that, I didn't win the seat. And that was very, very uplifting, the fact that they really felt that I was that good of a candidate that could have won that seat. And to me, that was very, very humbling.
Yes,
And I
yes.
was very grateful for that.
Yes, most people, they felt that was one sure seat that was going to be won by the DLP. So, but what you said, so that was the high moment, just the expectation, how people saw you, even in the
Mhm.
short space of time, being introduced to you. What would you say would have been one of your lowest points in the campaign?
I would say there were two main things that really disturbed me, and that was one of those things were some of the living conditions that I had seen for some persons in St. Lucie. I never really thought that such conditions still existed in Barbados. It was very painful to see some persons living in the conditions that they were living in. I actually kept asking them, you know, how do you manage? How can you be here? And they felt, you know, well, you know, Ian Griffith, man, I trying. And then the other one was the fact that so many younger persons, well, I mentioned it in one of my um, interviews after the election, was when a young boy actually said to me that he asked me how much will I give him for his vote, and he was like almost like 10 years old, and I
What?
was like, you can't even vote, so why are you even asking about that? He said, but that's what it's do, and I said, well, you know, you really got it bad. So when you could have such a young person with a mentality of that, that to me was very disturbing. You know, we had another incident where we had a meeting about to be scheduled, about to start, and one youngster passed by, and he asked, is the prime minister going to be here? Is me going to be here? But the only body that they knew was the prime minister.
Mm,
So it says to me that in terms of our younger generation, I mean young generation, there's a
mhm.
lot to be said about the narrative that they have with regards to public life and politics and how do we conduct ourselves. That is something that as adults we should be concerned about for the future.
Yes, 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 very much so. I mean, I could see how that would make anybody feel, really well, discouraged is not even the word, but when you think of the future of Barbados, in terms of our democracy, and
Yeah.
to find a child at 10 years old saying something like that to you. Now, can you tell me, you are from St. Lucie, and I love that. I love when a representative is not somebody who is any transplant, or you live all the way in St. Philip and talking about you are the candidate for St. Lucie. I'm just one of those. I'm old fashioned. I think you need to live in my community. We need to connect. You need to know what is going on. You don't need to be miles away or hours away, and you just come and walk through when you're ready for election time. But so tell me, what's happening in St. Lucie since the election? Has there been any movement with the water? What Tell me about those situations, those conditions, Mr. Griffith.
Well, the work that the Barbados Water Authority has been doing has continued. Though we noticed that there was a little slow lull after the elections. Before elections, there was a lot of work going on, but then after the elections, it kind of slowed down. It has started back up now. I don't know if there was a reason for that, but presently they are working in the Sutherland Hill and Half Moon Fort area, Sherman's. That is where my business, I think that's where I grew up in Half Moon Fort. I'm one of these persons who, yes, I'm always a North person, always a St. Lucie person. I reside in St. Peter, not too far from St. Lucie, but I work and traverse there every day. So when some of that work started, even today, we had some challenges with how the work has been coordinated. Even also today, I received some photos of some. We still have issue of some parts of St. Lucie still having some brown water, and that was a little concern. I mean, I gave my opinion. I gave my facts. I presented my facts during the election on what could be causing this brown water. There have been other persons, technical persons, who have also stated the problem with the brown water. But the relaying of the pipes has continued with the hope that we will not have any more groundwater, but that is left to be seen when all those pipes are laid. What is disturbing, though, as we continue, this work continues, kudos to the Barbados Water Authority workers. They're doing a very good job. They're working very hard, but they're following instructions from their supervisors and managers. And I question some of the how the work is coordinated. Today we have up to tonight, just before I came on tonight, I had a call from a resident who the water has been turned off since midday early mid morning. The water has been turned off. Before I left my office, I did ask the question to one of the workers there, supervisors, when is this water going to be on? And he said, well, no, the water got to be on by tonight. Y'all have to have water. I said, I hope so. I hope when I come into work tomorrow morning, my water is on. He said, sure, it has to be on. But until 7 o'clock tonight, Half Moon Fort is still without water. And
Wow.
the workers have gone, finished for the day. They said they experienced problems along some of the road in Half Moon Fort. Now, my question is, the coordination and communication needs to be better. When they said they wanted to block off Half Moon Fort. Half Moon Fort is a village that is made up of not just Half Moon Fort, but it's made up of Clinkett's Gardens and the Shermans and Sutherland Hill. And we have many persons who reside there. We have business places, including mine, along that. And we have also the famous fish pot restaurant. And to close off a section like that without any coordination or proper communication it's not a good thing. We want the pipes laid. We want the work done. We want water in our area, clean water. But we also believe that you have to at least consider the how you coordinate your work, that it would not inconvenience residences and tremendously. So
Yeah.
that is the concern that we had today.
You know what is so difficult sometimes to understand, and I actually do, like I'm in St. Philip, and where I live is close to Sam Lords, and I'm close to the Cranes, so we actually don't, we hardly are without water, and we have very good water quality where we live. This has been for years, and when I asked my husband why is that, he said more than like it's because the hotels, because of where we are located. But the thing about St. Lucie that often sometimes I just sit and I just shake my head, it's the quality of water, and also the fact that quite a number of households, they do not even get regular water supply. So that is the compounding issue here. Stephen Strickland is saying, I just went out to catch water from the truck, which is a weekly occasion, where normally, I mean, in our home we just go to the tap and we get water. But there is still a place in Barbados that people have to, Ian, go with a bucket in 2026
Yes,
to get water. And we are here talking
yes,
about flyovers.
yes. And it's not just going with a bucket. We're going with a bucket on godly times. The truck comes around 9, 10 o'clock. When you want to be at home resting and relaxing with your family, you have to ensure that you go out there and get your buckets of water or fill in your tanks with water. I mean, I would not be I would not be one to sit here and say that this is not a problem that had existed a long time ago. Even under our administration, this water situation did exist, and the whole issue of relaying the pipes was an issue, and work has started a long time ago. The thing about it is that during the election we did highlighted that there was a desalination plant that was supposed to have been built back then in 2017, and that plant was scrapped. That project was scrapped in 2018, after 2018, and that would have eliminated a lot of the problems that we would have had, that we're having now in St. Lucie, because that plant, that desalination plant, would have been able to supply not just St. Lucie, but parts of St. Peter and even parts of St. Andrew. So they might have always questioned why didn't we have that plant back then. The present government now is looking to have a desalination plant. I don't know what the capacity is, because we still have to look at the capacity, how many people are going to benefit from that desalination plant. The other question that we have to ask is the source of the water right now that we are getting is at the Allendale plant. And
Yes.
my former colleague and friend, the late Alvin Toppin, he highlighted some of the issues that they had in 2024 at the Allendale, this filtration system in Allendale, at the Allendale plant, which proved that the Allendale plant was actually pulling a lot of the brown sediment that we are seeing in the water. Now, the question is Allendale still online? Is Allendale still pulling that type of water? Is the filtration system, is it working adequately? So if it isn't, then when you change all the pipes, are you going to still be getting those sediments in the water? That's the questions that we have to ask ourselves. That is the reality. Now, if it doesn't happen, thank God that we're going to get clear water. And I welcome that. I really welcome that. But we have to be truthful and we have to be honest and we have to be told whether or not this system is going to work.
Mhm.
Because you can change the pipes, but if we're not getting quality water, and I have already stated some of the water that has been tested, it was not clean. And I didn't test it myself. The government lab tested it, and the evidence was there. People would have said that, well, you have to bear this for now and things like that. But you're not just bearing groundwater, you are bearing inconvenience in your life, your
Yes.
lifestyle.
Yes.
You're inconveniencing families that have to go up there and catch water, tanks that have to be filled, clothing that cannot be washed or have to be taken elsewhere to be washed, bottled water that have to be bought, bottled water that have to be bought to drink and cook. This is an inconvenience that you've had for a very long time. And yes, you can ask person to be patient, but beyond that, it is even the rules that are being done, how the rules are done right now. And that's the filtration system they are deal. But you're leaving the roads and we have to traverse the roads. I know a youngster in the area of the St. Lucie Hope Road area who had to just bought a vehicle and having a job in Christchurch. And then within a couple of months, his suspension broke on a hole coming home. He couldn't fix the car because he now started the job. So the money was a little tight. And he had to go back taking public transportation to go to the job in Christchurch. Now we know traveling to Christchurch is going to be a lot of money in terms of public transport, something you may have to take 2 buses. But these are some of the things beyond the water that has inconvenienced people in St. Lucie. The roads, the bad roads, the minibus people, the public transport people having to change suspension, having to spend money so many times to repair suspension work. So it's a whole variety of inconveniences that the people of St. Lucie have suffered, you know. So
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
just about just the drinking water. That's not all of it. A lot of inconveniences.
As well, yes. And Stephen Strickland is saying at the town hall meeting at the St. Lucie Parish Church, the BWA, he is alleging, admitted that the Allendale well is contributing to
Yes.
the water situation. But Mr. Griffith, I love the fact of how you frame what's happening, where it's not just the water, but it's people's lives. And I could, as you were talking, I could feel that because I know myself, I would have to move, because to think that you have to go and catch water each evening. And I can easily say to move, but if you bought your dream house there, built it from scratch, where are you moving to? So
Yes.
it's a tough situation. But when you hear all of this and you think about your constituents, and then you hear the government is seeking to spend all of this money on flyovers, and I mean all these things. It's not that flyovers is great, but I mean we want like basic things fixed, like our water or roads, hospital. There in the north, you guys need a hospital down there, you
Yeah.
know. What are your thoughts about that? I know you're the spokesperson on is it roads,
Yes.
transportation
That's it. Yes.
works?
Transportation and works. Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes. So
I
what
just
are
left.
your
I just
thoughts
left
about
the
that?
meeting. Yes. Well, I just left the meeting there. I had to, leave a meeting at the Alexander School, and I attended the consultation there. And I highlighted a couple of points. I gave the Minister Humphrey a couple of points. I presented many in writing that I believe that we need to look at. Now, you mentioned just now about the basic needs. Many of the problems that exist in Barbados on the roads comes from not just the rules of itself, but the management and the behavior of the people that use the roads. And now, as I stated this evening, the behavior is not only the persons that use the roads. The behavior comes from those persons at the top in management. We also have to change the way they behave and think and do the job. Now, perfect example is what is going on now in Half Moon Fort. Last year, at the meeting at the Salvation Army, we were told that the work was going to start in the Checker Hall area going down to Sherman's. Now, myself and one or two residents asked the question, so what is going to happen when people have to divert? Because the Colleton Road, now which would be an alternate road, was still in bad condition. They said, well, they would have to fix that road. And the question asked again by myself was, what is going to happen when you get to Sherman's? Now, I don't know if you are aware of it, but there are two sections of Sherman's that is pretty much one way because of the damage that was done to Hurricane Beryl back in 2024, I think it was, or 2023. That's when we had it.
2024.
Right, 2024.
Yeah.
That road has still not been fixed. We
Okay.
were promised that there was going to work, was going to be started, hasn't started yet. Now, the question that was asked at that Salvation Army meeting when the minister was there was, if the road is narrow in that area, you are going to be relaying the pipes. What is going to happen? Now, they said, well, they are looking into that. Now, how are you going to be looking into something? And only last weekend, when the road was actually starting to be dug up, you did not even have any alternate detour roads. You were actually planning to close the entire district down, lock it down as far as I'm concerned, we call it that, close the entire district. You only advertise a day early, which was like the Saturday, because I did ask the supervisor, was there any communication? He said, well, he thinks that the communication has gone out, and that was Saturday. Like, to me, that is not good enough because you had all this time. For example, there is I've been advocating for a road for Clinkett's Gardens to come in and out of Clinkett's Gardens. Clinkett's Gardens has one way in, one way out, and that has been there for my life. I'm 59 years old and has always been like that. However, there is a track which is now used by some of the residents to get to their homes that can be utilized, and this was highlighted. And there is a document in the Ministry of Housing, I think it was the Ministry of Housing, where back then it was Dennis Kellman, who had a document presented, who was presenting the document for that alternate road, which would link Clinkett's to Half Moon Fort. Now, if that road had been implemented, then you would have an alternate road that could at least allow persons to get into Clinkett's or go into Clinkett's and come back around and continue on while that section of road was being done. Now, we talk about behavior management. You have to coordinate, and you have to coordinate properly. A lot of the road work that has been seen in Barbados, for example, we had Whole Town, where the new hotel that is being built there hotel in Whole Town was being built, where they had to close off the road at some time during the day, some peak time, morning and evening. But then you had road works going on the opposite end in the content area, which could be used as another detour area. So all the traffic piled up going to south on that highway going to Warrens, which caused delays for like over 2 hours. Now, you cannot plan road works that way. And as I told the minister tonight, how Ministry of Transport and Works is responsible for the road. When utilities want to do things, whether it be Barbados Water Authority, telephone company, Barbados Light and Power, they have to coordinate with the Ministry of Transport and Works. There are too many times in Barbados that the Ministry of Transport and Works has started work, they leave the work undone. That's like the bushing, where you have work being done and the bush is there for many, many, many days after. And then you have sometimes the road works going on, and then you would hear that there's no material, so they can't work. They started it, but then there's no material. So my thing is that if we really want to get serious about this congestion issue that we have, we first have to look inside. We have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, how are we conducting business in terms of the management? Let's deal with that first. There are many issues. And if you look at all the town hall meetings that have been happening now, the consultation meetings, many persons have highlighted issues that are nothing to do with flyovers, but simply to do with the management and the
Management.
attitude of road users.
Mhm.
How we manage the road system.
Yeah, so listening to you very intently there, Mr. Griffith, are you saying then that if we were to deal with to curb the behaviors of not just the road users but of management as well, do you think that are you saying that we may not need that among other things we may not need the expensive flyovers?
Well, yes, I mean, let's start there. Let's do a phased project. Let's look at a phased project. I mean, you're from Jamaica. I know in Jamaica has such a choose halfway tree in Jamaica. Jamaica
Yeah.
just built a new highway going to Montego Bay, which cuts out the old flatbridge area going up there.
Yes. Well,
I drove
you know
that.
the place
I,
really well.
yes, I drove that, and I would not want to drive it again.
We need to chat. We need to chat one of these days. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, when you look at other countries, you have Singapore. Singapore is just about the size of Barbados, probably just a little bigger. But Singapore and London of itself, I mean, the statistics and the data is there. They have similar problems. The problems is they have many cars on the road, many vehicles on the road, limited land space, limited
Yeah.
land space. And then you have you look at how the road is actually policed and managed, because then our Barbados Police Service is limited to its resources. So my thing is that we have to look at a holistic approach. So let's start with the basics first. You have situations, say, for example, the Sky Mall area. The Sky Mall area is the area that has many tributaries close to the highway.
Yeah.
You have Sky Mall having an entrance and an exit close to a
That's
roundabout. You have there by Aymara. So you have all the highways we have in Barbados have a lot of tributaries close to the highway. So most of the traffic will always back up to the highway. Then you have the issues of the zebra crossings at the highway, where then also poses a problem, because by the time you get to the other side, someone is crossing, you have to stop in the highway. So in places like London, where you have stoplights and at the some highways in England, you have those things. So those things help control the traffic building up in the actual highway of it and the roundabout of itself. Those are some methods that can be used in the interim. Now we talk about peak time and school. Many places, like the Combermere School, they have beautiful botanical gardens that is being used. But if you look at the entrance of Botanical Gardens at Combermere, there's a wide section of property there. Why can't that be used for a drop-off area, which takes the traffic off of the main road, right? So those are some of the things that we can do in the interim, and let's see how it works. Many persons talk about staggered school times. I didn't even mention this evening. During COVID, many people had to work at home. And we had, especially many of the government workers, had to work at home. And I'm not going to go into how government workers work, but we all know, let's be realistic. We go into some departments, some of that work can be done at home, which eliminates some of those persons having to come to work during the day. So those are some of the things that were mentioned. Staggered school time hours, where some schools like Harrison College, and the same Combermere, which is in those city areas, you have the other like in Griffith up there on that major highway. So you have schools that are in peak areas or prime areas where traffic will build. Schools can be look at being staggered in times. Those are some of the things that people suggested. If we look at doing these things, we reduce the cost of having to go into spending on flyovers. Because the statistic has shown in Barbados with limited space, you have flyovers.
Mhm.
But flyovers going to take you over one area, but it has to come back down. You can't fly and don't land.
Right.
So when you fly, you have to land somewhere.
Yeah.
So when you land where you land, is the traffic going to be moving smoothly?
Mhm.
That's the question that people have to ask themselves. So why not look at a phase project where we implement public transport, where we have ZRs stopping all over the place? Why don't we implement traffic wardens from the MTW to have the authority to write up some of these people that are stopping, put them up there, let them know, because these public service vehicles, they operate when they see the law, they straighten up. But if we have persons and the penalties must be stiff, you cannot have persons break the law and then there are penalties. You have, for instance, accidents on the road. We took there was a policy taken to take police off traffic stops.
Mhm.
Police don't do traffic stops anymore. So if police don't do traffic stops and the insurance have to send an adjuster, now my question is, who's controlling the traffic? Not the adjuster. Is left
Mm.
up to the two parties that got in the accident to control the traffic. Should it be? Why not implement traffic wardens? And there's an accident, is reported to the police, traffic wardens go out and control the traffic until the adjuster comes. But these are some things that there are many other things that persons has. I listened to many of the persons that have spoken in the consultation, and I told Minister Hunt today that I hope he realized that a lot of these suggestions that people have presented, I hope that they're going to use, because you can't tell us that the Prime Minister has said we are going to have flyovers, but now you're asking for consultations for persons to bring their ideas. What is going to happen then with those ideas? Are those ideas going to be put into a plan and presented back to the public, to the people of Barbados? Tell us that. What is the time frame? Because we said 18 months. 18 months is a short time. But are we going to see improvements, let's say, at 6 months, 10 months? We don't know.
Yeah.
So there are many things that can be done.
No, this is very, very insightful. I must say, Mr. Griffith, and you know, pardon me, but my training is in accounting, and as you were discussing this, as I was listening to you very intently tonight, I wondered, would you, for example, you talked about Combermere, and that we have the beautiful botanical gardens there. It'd be interesting to know if anybody has done like a costing of what would it cost. Mr. Griffith, you're a businessman. What would
Yeah.
it cost to implement? Like, that's a brilliant idea that you have there. Okay,
Mhm.
what would be the cost of implementing that? You had some other ideas about, you talked about Sky Mall area and so on, very detailed. It seemed like you understand the issue. You talked about St. Lucie. I was listening very keenly to what you were saying. Now my question is this: can you put together comparative cost analysis? Okay, I don't know if you have a team. Now listen to what I'm saying, because if they are saying that this is what we need, we want to spend this amount of millions of dollars for the flyovers, and you can say, listen, we can take the ideas that we have, we can cost it out, okay, And this would be the alternative. So we're not just criticizing, but we are presenting a comprehensive policy proposal then, along with the costing. Do you see? So we can the citizens can see the difference.
You were in the meeting tonight, Alexander School, because that is exactly what I said to Minister Humphrey when I presented my proposal, was that where's the cost analysis? Back in 2007, when the issue of flyovers came about, we had a costing, and even back then in 2007, there were two. There were two costings back in 2007. There was an initial cost of, I can't remember exactly how much, millions of dollars, billions of dollars to do, millions of dollars, sorry, to do the flyover, and then the company came back and gave another cost.
I can tell you because we did it tonight. We were looking at that tonight. It was first 60
Correct.
million, and then it went
Yes.
to 120.
That's in one, but that was in 2007.
7, yeah.
Since then, there have been more infrastructure in those areas. For example, one of the areas that a flyover is said to be touted to go is in the Horizontal turning.
Yeah.
In 2007, we didn't have the geriatric hospital there. Now we have the geriatric hospital. So that poses another challenge. Are we going to still use the Horizontal turning? And we know Horizontal turning roundabout going down to Waterford is one of the major congestion areas. So how is the flyover work there? Since then, we've had the IMART in below Sky Mall. So these are some of the things that has happened since 2007. And I believe the cost of flyovers now in 2026 has to be much more than back then in 2007, 2008. So the question is, if you have, show us a cost analysis of some of the plans or some of the suggestions. Use some of the suggestions that we have here. For example, employ more traffic wardens to assist the police. Look at expansion of certain roads.
Can I just interject
Correct.
here, Mr. Griffith? Each
Yes.
of those ideas, they're brilliant ideas. I am
Yes.
saying, can you go a little further? I know it will take a team of you
It will
to
take a
know,
team.
like, say, how many traffic wardens, and give a budget of what you, because if you have a proposal, it should have a costing.
A cost analysis.
Estimate along with it. So I am
Yeah.
saying for the wardens, let's say you think you need 70 wardens or whatever, like because that's going to be helpful for us as a public. Because if you can come up with other solutions that
Yeah.
it's going to cost us less, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And why do we need a flyovers?
Well, tonight I was told there's only 3 traffic wardens in Barbados now.
Hey,
Tonight, we were told by the head of the chief licensing officer that there are only 3 traffic wardens. 3.
when has Barbados, what I don't understand, Mr. They love to
Well,
tell
I
me I'm
don't-
Beige and I must shut up, but I can't understand when Barbados, what has happened? When did we get here? In Jamaica, we were saying, like, you drop off the truck, you mash up. Barbados mash up, you drop off the truck. When did we get here? Isn't this ridiculous? A country like this that's punching above its weight with 3 traffic wardens?
But that's the thing. That's the thing. If like I said, the attitude of those persons at the top must change as well of those persons at the bottom. So in management, you cannot tell me. For example, here in Spikestown. Now, for the when Spikestown was changed to some sections of one way, the study was given. Oh, this is going to happen. We had to advocate and had it changed because the original plan that they had only had Spikestown, a municipal town, with 1 entry, 1 exit. You cannot have that in a municipal town.
Oh, wow.
Then when that was changed, we were told the parking in Spikestown, for example, was going to be limited only for people doing delivery. Right now, you have people parking in Spikestown because they believe you can only leave one way for people to drive because it's a one way. We were
Right.
told we're gonna have parking meters. Now that was over a year ago. There are no parking meters. So my question is, you cannot have plans and then do not follow up on the things or police the things that you said should be happening. That is the problem we've had in Barbados for too long of a time. There's a lot of grand plans, but then the management of these plans, the implementation, the policing of these plans, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, you're going to transport board, for example. Many people have questioned the transport board's reliability. They're going to move to a GPS system. And we know GPS has to work with Wi-Fi,
Yes.
you know. So how in Barbados, as you know, I don't know who many people travel through Barbados, but small island like Barbados have many drop-off spots. We have a poor Wi-Fi system. So I don't know how you can have an effective and reliable transport system that uses that needs Wi-Fi when you have many areas, especially in those country areas. Even sometimes we have areas along the highway to where that we call it, close to Portville Factory, the Chapet Warren Zero Lancaster, that you don't get service, and there are many other areas in Barbados that you don't get service for a while. So these are the things that we have to fix. You cannot ignore those things. You have to demand the infrastructure be put in place by those providers so that then you can think. NTW, the manner of how their people work has to be managed properly. Some of, and things like that. There was a question by one of the last past or retired legal officer from the NTW at the St. Michael's meeting, who asked a question about the lab. Many persons know that there are roads that are paved that within months potholes start. And the problem has been, and it has been a fact, poor asphalt. Now, I was
Material.
made material, but the lab at the NTW is not in use. So how are you testing the material that these contractors that you've awarded a contract to? How are you testing the material that should be a specific specifications for the road? But you've given them the contract, they go off, they do their asphalt, they put it down the road, and then within 6 months, the road is deteriorating again. These are the things that management has to control. Yes, public sector, the people will say, well, that's government. No, it shouldn't be. We need to look at performance, and we need to have a cost-effective performance.
Correct.
We cannot run a private company. Yes, we'll look at that. But should it be any different to a public entity? A public entity is spending taxpayers' money. They have to be accountable.
Exactly.
Have to be
Exactly.
accountable, right?
So,
So,
as somebody is saying, I mean, I'm here and I'm just intrigued by what you're saying, because I did a segment tonight looking at what happened 30 years ago, and what's happening now. And the way you are looking at it, you're presenting alternatives, and I love that. And I think that somebody said that they can't understand how did you lose. I mean, because this is a kind of thinking that, well, we're hoping that we would have needed inside of government, because we are seeking to fix problems. We want it fixed. It's not going against government because they want to fly over. Then you say, no, you don't want to fly over. But we are saying, could we get this? Can we do this in a cost-effective way, where we look at the alternatives, firm up what we already have, and things are leaking, stop the leakages. Let's work to see what we have and look at some of the ideas that people are actually telling you what the issues are. They are using the roads. And as you said, you asked Mr. Kirk, are you going to actually listen to the people, or this is a foregone conclusion? Have you
Exactly.
have you made up your mind that this is going to be done in 18 months? What
Well, I
do you
mean,
think?
we get, as I said to him today, yes, he has mentioned many of the problems that he actually pretty much agree with some of the things that people have been experiencing, and he believed that they shouldn't be experiencing. He actually agreed. So as I told him tonight, you seem to be a minister that everybody seems to like and believe that you can get the job done. But as I said to him, I hope it's just not words of comfort, but words that are going to be followed by action. Now, for example, you speak of alternatives. Birchfield Road in St. Thomas was being done for quite a while. When they started Birchfield Road, they actually paved the Hyman's Hill Road. Hyman's Hill Road now, along with Canefield, is one of the widely used roads to move from the west coast to the inner side of the island, between Hyman's Hill and the Jack and the Box. Now
Mm,
tell me, if you could pave Hyman's Hill, if you could pave Jack in the Box, and it could be you, and it's being used right now, why can't you just widen it? Why can't you make it a even better
ah,
way? So
mhm,
then persons will know that look, instead of I want to get to St. George, I'm not gonna go to Warren's, I'm gonna go up Content, and
exactly.
I'm gonna go to Hyman's Hill, and then I'm gonna go to Jack in the Box. And I'm in St. George. You have to spend the money where it is going to matter. And that would alleviate some of the other options where you have to spend more money. And then let's see how that works first. And then if it works, then you know that look, I don't have to spend this money here. I mean, I speak as a business person for first and foremost. That's how I would look at it.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at some of the social things, because when you look at it, there is issue. There's something that came up with COVID, and people ignored it, and that's the psychosomatic issues. When
Mhm.
people were home, to put it lightly, some people were actually going crazy. Now,
Yes.
when people have jobs to go to and they cannot get to that job, and this is the job that they want to go to because they're on the borderline, they might lose a job. You have kids at home, they got to get into school, and you can't get into school because you can. Even when you in that traffic, that's why you develop a road rage. So there's a mental side of effect that can happen when you have to go through these things. These are some of the outside factors that are not taken seriously. So when you see people reacting and reacting violently, just doing that because they want to, they're frustrated. This is what frustration leads to. So our government has to understand that their responsibility is far much more wider than just providing just another road. But you have to look at alternatives that would at least ease the mental burden, the frustration for families and people using the road.
And I'm listening to you. I find it so interesting, what you're saying, because I literally as you're talking, for some reason, I'm able to see what you're saying. I can see it, and I'm seeing the possibilities. And
Mm.
I want to know from you. You were just asked, weren't you just asked probably about a week or 2 weeks to be the spokesperson on roads and works?
Correct.
Now,
Well,
you are talking about like somebody who was in this ministry for when so long. Where you get all of this? I know it's late. Listen, guys, you please. This is the time for you to call in. But we see this man. He's well cut, well put together, and all of that. And we don't know much about him. Where you get all of this knowledge in the short space of time?
you research. I'm one of these people that I said the internet is up there. You have to read. You have to do your research. When we decided on the sports persons, yes. Before, at least a couple of weeks before, it was um in the press release. It was given to the press with some word. Under Ryan, Senator Ryan Walters, we did have meetings as to who the sponsors were going to be. And from the time I was given that portfolio, along with housing, I started doing my research. But I also have driven on the road all my life. I not only have to drive on the road for my business, but I also am a motorsport enthusiast. I've been involved in rallying for all of my life. So I know the lot of the roads in Barbados that people don't even know exist. Right now, there are persons who use roads. If you ask persons about a road, and persons would say, I don't know that road. I never knew they had a Jack in the Box. There's another road that going up to Walk Spring that people can use. There are many roads in Barbados that are alternate roads, but they are not used because people have been only using the highway. Now, we can go even further. If you want to implement what some places in like in London, where you pay a fee of the toll to travel on certain roads, then you would not use that road during that time. You'll find an alternate road. And if the government provided an alternate road that is very usable, you would use that road. So the thing is that you have to have give people reasons to find uses for those alternate roads. But there are roads. You can't have alternate roads if the road is not properly fixed. Right now they're fixing Brabazon Road. And the alternate road to get up to Frank's Village and for Hill and Indian Ground would be what we call Sailor Gully, the Orange Hill Road, coming from the Rock and the Wind. That road is terrible. Terrible. Now that road should have been fixed if they knew they were going to repave Brabazon Road, which means then your alternate road did. And when that alternate road is repaired or fixed, when the Brabazon Road now is actually repaved, then you have two roads now that are possible, are usable, makes sense,
Right.
cost effective, and usable.
I would love, one of the things that the DLP did with the issue of crime, they produced an entire booklet,
Yeah.
a policy booklet. I don't know what they call it, but like a manual.
Mhm.
And I think with the wealth of information that you have, I believe you be, with your team. I don't know if you have a team working with you to be able to put something tangible together, because it is a problem that we have. And to say, listen, look at this. This is it here. And to be able to show them that we can solve our problem with, being as efficient as possible, least resources being used, and we can solve the problem. And all we're doing is crowdsourcing it. We're getting the ideas from the people, put it all in one place, and with the
Mhm.
cost that is attributed to it, because it's one thing to have ideas, but how is it going to, what's the cost of it, and
Yeah.
to be able to show us the comparison, if we were to spend all these millions of dollars, and
Yeah.
we may not even solve the problem, because it's, as you said, the traffic have to land, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we really, really need to go about seeking to solve the problems. Let me just you weren't supposed to stay this long, but you're here. Uh, but I know you're tired too. So, but can I just say
Yes, sir.
that if you have a question, this is a time that you can call in, because we had a little technical trouble at the beginning of the show. We are just going to only accept WhatsApp calls. All right. Only WhatsApp calls, no landlines and no regular cell phone, just WhatsApp. Can you call in, please? And let's see if the questions are not for Mr. Griffith, then we can release him and let him get a little rest. I know he's had a tough day. He's
Yeah, it's
been
been a long
going,
day.
yeah,
It's
it's been
okay.
going a lot, and we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Somebody says here, isn't just research. He knows what he's talking about, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying it. I'm really intrigued by it, because
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not an area that you were given months ago,
Mm-hmm.
but you are rattling off these ideas as though I'm being genuine about that, and I'm just adding to it and saying it would be so good if you had a team,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to say, listen, look at this.
Yeah.
And we got this from the public.
Yeah, I think Barbados, as I said about the people of St. Lucie. The people of St. Lucie, for example, have been are resilient, and we have people who are well versed in many areas, and that's said about the people of Barbados. The people of Barbados, I use terms like we're not dumb. We have a lot of talented people in Barbados. We have a lot of educated people in Barbados, and you would hear a lot of people talking in certain quarters, in certain little areas and groups. They may not be coming out to talk because a lot of people don't want to get involved in the political, talk.
Yes.
But it's not about politics. I try to
Can
explain to
you still
people.
hear me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing
Okay,
you.
good night. I think
Little
we have
low.
a caller. We have a caller,
Okay,
Mr. Griffith.
go ahead.
Caller, welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Thank you for watching and listening. Yes, go right ahead.
It's good night, Marcia.
Hey, Mr.
Ian.
Strickland, one of my favorite people in the world.
Yes, please. Um, I'm really, really heartened to hear you in tonight on this program. I as I asked earlier, how could you have lost? And is it because, it is, I'm proud to be a resident of St. Lucie. I want to ask you a question, Ian. Is your campaign office, will it be open or is it still open?
Yes, we are still open. Actually, this is the
Hello?
month of
Yes,
yes.
he's speaking. Tell you what, because of the issue we're having, I
Okay,
I think what we're going to have to do is to we're going to have to ask the questions, and then you
Okay,
come
okay,
up, and then
right
you're
on.
going to hear, right? We should be
Right, because the reason why I asked that question is I passed in the area this afternoon, where he would have had his office for the campaign during the general election, and I think I saw a sign up. It seems to be a new sign, which indicates to me that there's it's going to be a continual presence in St. Lucie, and therefore I want to know whether what I think I saw is so. And I unfortunately I did not know that the meeting was going to be at Alexandria this evening until tonight when I heard it to some extent. But the question is whether, as was indicated earlier, is this a foregone conclusion that we're going to have flyovers? And there are a lot of suggestions being made, from reputable individuals. And I would like to believe that the kind of money that will be going, and there's no way that these flyovers can be done in 18 months. You're talking about building a flyover over an area where traffic is passing all day, 7 days a week. How are we going to be able to put a flyover over a roundabout, which is already, jammed? How are we going to get all this done in 18 months when just laying some pipes at the side of the road, you can't get done in a year? Because here in St. Lucie, we were told at the town hall meeting last year, I think it was in March, that it would have been done in 1 year. We are now past the 1 year period, and we are still struggling to get the pipes laid, and the whole issue of Islandale well has not been addressed. So therefore, I don't know if you can't manage to get certain work done. We would have paved a little section of the road coming from Hope Road to Nestfield for the opening of the Polytechnic down there, and they have not come back to do any more work. So that work down there is a whole mess. For the opening, they paved a short, space, a short part of the road. Okay, Crabhill is still a whole mess. You want what I'm saying? Whereby individuals don't have to walk a distance because the public transport can't come through Great Wall. So everybody have to disembark and walk far. Now with the Clinkers area, I passed yesterday and saw that area blocked off at the what we call the Carlton Junction down there. And therefore, how those people are gonna walk with luggage, and that's almost half mile to where they live. Because if they are dropped off at the top of Sutherland Hill, you know, they have to walk up that hill to catch transportation again. So, I mean, this is a nightmare in St. Lucie. And therefore, I am, heartened that Ian is, putting things on the table with the hope that, they will be addressed in short order. So, I felt I should give my contribution because we are both proud residents of St. Lucie. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you and have a good night, Marcia.
You ought to be proud. You ought to be proud, and I'm being honest about that. Thank you so much for calling.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank
Yes, you can be able to on him now. Go right ahead, sir.
I want to really thank Stephen for his words of encouragement and to his answer. Yes, the campaign house is going to be still continuing. We have some plans. We actually have an activity coming Saturday night. But we're developing some other further things that we want to do in St. Lucie. I'm actually going to soon launch a sort of a campaign. I'm not going to say much about it now, which should embrace all of St. Lucie. And I'm hoping to draw upon the talent of many persons in Lucie, whether you're a B or a D, because it doesn't matter, because we need to have persons who want the best for our parish. I just received a message from someone even talking about what Mrs. Strickland just said, regards to the bus not going to Cravel or Great Hall. The bus is now going up through by the police station and going up. So those people that live in the Town area have to, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like this even today. Now, these are the things that we got to look back at. How can you coordinate road work without taking into consideration such factors? Now, yes, you're having road work. There have to be some sort of possibility that public transport can at least traverse, even if they traverse for a particular way and have to turn, come back, and continue on. There must be a collaboration that could happen between the entity that is doing the road and the public transport to say, look, we're going to be doing roads, this road between the time of X date and X date. And this is going to be now how we want you all to conduct yourselves on this road. We're going to make, let's say, a temporary turning area for your vehicles to pick up persons from. They did it in 6 months, where they had buses that could come pick up persons in 6 months when Pendry started the hotel.
Okay.
And we were being blocked off, and we had to deal with a couple of days where the bridge, the underground passage was being done, where public transport was asked to come in, pick up persons, and go around the Minor Quarter to come to Spikestown, and the opposite way, the other way, where persons could have come and then go around and bring them back to 6 months. These is the things that you have to coordinate. And I believe the same way that you can ask an overseas entity to look at these things, why should our local entities do the same? You should be able to coordinate, because the government still have a responsibility to the people of those areas. They still have that responsibility. So my thing is that you have to find ways and means, and there are possible ways and means that this can be done. They just need to be coordinated and disseminated. So we need to do better. We need to do better. And like I said, like Strickland had just said, there are many times we have work being done, and you ask yourself, well, what are we going to do now? Are we going to log home for our goods if we don't have transport? And that's just public transport. What about persons who can't drive their vehicles, and where are they going to do? What are they going to do?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There's a call coming in, but I want to just remind people that we really want to hear what you have to say, but I had a technical issue here at the start of the show. And so I'm going to kindly ask you to use WhatsApp. So this person, you're calling me, you're calling me right now, but you need to call me WhatsApp, please. Good night. Please call me. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Um, someone was saying that if you could get some young people to do like internships or something, some bright young people. I don't know. I know sometimes we say these things and it's so hard to get people. You have to be paying them something to be able to put together the ideas that you have there, and even what is being out said in the public, because it's the solutions. The people got the solutions. I think it would be great to see if we can get somebody to help you to put that together. Here's a call coming. Let's see if we can get this person. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Good night, Miss Weeks. I'm a St. Lucie resident.
Yes. Okay, so what you have to do, ma'am, is to turn off that device so that we can hear you. Yes, hear your lovely voice and hear what you have to say. You're from St. Lucie, Seem like all of you down there bright. Is it dirty water? Everybody sound bright. No. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm calling about the roads.
Yes, ma'am.
I want Mr. Griffith to take a look at the road from Hope Road, Low Hope Road, and the Hope Road. They did some renovations to the road. They cut down the size of the road and they made the width of the road smaller. Now, when you do renovations, I expected them to widen the road, not make the road more narrow. So now 2 buses or a bus and a car cannot pass on certain parts of that road. It's horrendous. How are you going to do renovations and make the road more narrow?
It's not progressive at all. It's not progressive. And
No.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What are we supposed to do now? You're going to have plenty of accidents on that road.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so what he's going to do,
especially in the corner by the 7 Days Church.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
So, Mr. Griffith, see what you can do. I don't know what they're going to do now because they put in sidewalks, the built walls. I don't understand what happened there. You do renovations to the road and make it more narrow. You dig down all the sides of the road. They think that they will widen the road. They made the road more narrow.
Okay, well, thank you, caller. He's going to respond to you after you hung up because of what's happening or technical challenges tonight. Okay, thank you so
All
much,
right,
ma'am.
thank you very much, Ms. Weeks.
It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Griffith, go right ahead.
The thing about that road and road that the caller is speaking of, she's quite right. One of the questions that we have to ask is who's responsible for the technical aspect of the roads, the dimensions of the roads. It is NPW. I go back to what I said to the minister tonight at Alexandra School. The NPW have a responsibility to ensure that roads are done to the specific quality. Now, that road originally, I think, was started by the same NTW, but then it was completed, or it's being completed by the Chinese firm or group of people, I don't know, who is conducting those road repairs. Now, my thing is that who supervises these things? It comes down to the same thing again that we speak about. Who supervises a lot of the roads that are being repaired in Barbados? It has to be MTW who has to supervise these things. You have to meet certain specifications. Town planning. You don't build a house and then you don't submit your plan. You have to meet certain specifications. And even sometimes your driveway, how far it is from to the corner from the road, specifications. You look at districts where you have housing. You cannot have housing in certain areas. You can't develop a housing area if you don't have X road or X width road. So when it comes to the public road, between town planning and the Ministry of Transport works has to ensure that these are done to the specifications. Now, if Hope Road is being done to the specifications for town planning and NPW, we have a problem because, like the caller said, it is clear that its road is smaller. And what makes the road appear even smaller is that, yes, they may come and tell you, well, the road meets the specifications in terms of the width. But if the specifications 20 years ago was X feet, now we are wearing bigger buses here. We have allowed bigger trucks to travel on our roads that come in. Those buses, those trucks, all vehicles are inspected by NTW. The NTW knows of the specifications of those vehicles, especially trucks with their weight, this is another issue. But those buses that are coming in are a certain width. Now, if you have specifications 20, 25, 30 years ago for roads, then you cannot expect to have those same specifications for roads in 2026. So when you look at a road like Hope Road, and a lot of roads are built that way, people have tried out for sidewalks. So years ago, you didn't have many sidewalks, especially in that road. You didn't have sidewalks. But the road had what we say like a lay-by, like you could drive on the side of the road in the bushy area, so you had a little width.
Right, yes.
If you had two public service vehicles or fellow go onto the side, you can't do that now because you have the sidewalk.
Yes.
So the actual road of itself to use is what we consider to be smaller because you have sidewalks. I know government will come and tell you, well, we provided sidewalks for you to walk on. But what if you're using the road and you have a fire truck wants to get through? Then the sidewalk might be impeding the fire truck when the traffic is stopped. So the traffic can't go up on the sidewalk because you have a sidewalk that's probably over 6 inches. So these are the things that we have to question. What type of management, what type of classifications are these roads being done, and specifications that they are being done? Like I said, the quality, this is another issue. You have, years ago, I know some people have seen a sign said in some areas, 2 tons on no vehicle over 2 tons.
Right.
In certain areas. You hardly see that anymore. And I can tell you, we have vehicles that are coming to Barbados that when they're loaded are way over more 2 tons. And they're driving on asphalt that cannot handle that type of
wow. Wow.
So,
and that's why these laws and rules were there. And I tell you, Barbados is a beautiful country. I will tell you this, Mr. Griffith, my impression of Barbados, even before I came here, is that it's a place of law and order. That is my impression. The picture that you would see of Barbados on a postcard, it's all the policemen and their uniform and so on, and it just looked like a place of order. Actually, it's called Little England. It's not as like Jamaica where free for all, everything goes. In my mind, I'm serious, I'm being honest, it seemed like a place of order. And now it's like, what has happened to this country? And that's one of the reasons, Mr. Griffith, why I'm doing this, why I do these kinds of shows, because I believe in Barbados. I believe that something has happened in terms of our governance, the way we govern, the way we are managing. We're not using that part of ourselves. Things are just allowed. They are allowed to happen. The laws are not being followed. And the only thing that is going to happen is that we're going to end up in, chaos is what is happening. And that's what's happening on the streets. It's chaos. And then here it is. We are going to come with this great idea to solve the problem. It's going to be this traffic chaos. is to bring flyovers. You know, it's like we don't even sit. We're doing the same thing again. We haven't sat down, gone through the issue, look at the alternatives, seek what is happening. We can do it in a non-partisan way, you know.
Yes,
It
we
can be
can.
done in a non-partisan way, you know, Mr. Griffith.
I truly believe that we can do it in a nonpartisan way. I have said it many times before. When I look at politics, yeah, we look at politics, but my reason for getting involved in politics is because over the years in my business, I've seen the hardships of many people, and I've seen people not having the opportunity to represent themselves and their communities because Barbados had become a place where you had to know somebody to get something done, and it has increased. And I can say that, yes, I myself might be one of those fortunate persons, but I don't believe that that should be the way. And we have to be persons that are into public life and doing social work has to understand that they have a responsibility I mean, it takes up a lot of time and sacrifice, but at the end of the day, if we have more hands on deck, it makes the job at least a little easier. But we have to have more people having a concern about what is happening in our country. We have to have more people who want to see things better in our country. You know, that happens, and you just have to come out and speak up and talk about issues. And then when you see certain things happening, we have to be able to get up there to say, well, look, you know, this is this problem. I'm having this problem. This is not right. And we are seeing an increasing amount of persons coming up there on our talk show programs like yours and other programs out there during the day. And some of the moderators acknowledge some of these things. And we have to demand of our people that we put there in public service to do better. It is
Yes.
as simple as that. We have to demand of them that they have to do better.
Yes, 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 most definitely. I know there is a caller that is trying to call. Folks, kindly remember to call us via WhatsApp 236-7000, 236-7000. Call us via WhatsApp. Yes, I have heard about the article by John Beals, Mr. Strickland. I would really love to have him on the program. We need to be able to get to the bottom of this thing. And I'm serious about doing the comparative cost analysis of the alternatives versus the flyover. I think it is very important. It'd be so great to look at some of the concerns John Beal has about this overrun here. And so give me, yes, I took a sip of water, Vihai. Guys, can you call the person who was calling? Can you call me via WhatsApp? We only have 2 minutes, and I would love to hear what you have to say. If not, we will have to wait for the next show. Okay? Well, you know, one of the things I'm going to say something now that I know we don't have time enough to discuss it, but speaking to you tonight, sir, it's one of the reasons I believe that politicians should not just, you know, we shouldn't just go for lawyers. I am a firm believer that you need to have people who you started a business from scratch, you've done something. Do you understand? You've actually done something. You know, I believe that's another conversation for another time, but I'm just thinking, go ahead, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Blessed good night, Marcia, and your guests.
Yes, see, you're my last caller,
Yeah, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I believe that we are being taken down another, what I call RH, and I mean rabbit hole. You know, many times we are taken down some being given, you know, we're not addressing issues at all. All we're doing is creating situations to make us feel as though something is happening when actually nothing is happening. There are a lot of things going on in the Prime Minister's office right now. You know, and I would say a lot of nothings going on there. We're hearing of attractions that are distractions, crime in the PMO, culture in the PMO. Now we have consultations of traffic in the PMO. What we don't hear is integrity legislation in the PMO. Minister responsible for accountability in the PMO. Now the only AG in the PMO is the Attorney General. Another rabbit hole. What we don't have is an Auditor General. Whenever we are faced with questionable acts, we get RH, rabbit holes, distractions, tint.
No rabbit holes.
Yes, I think he dropped out there. Well, caller, I think we got the essence of what you're saying. I really don't want to keep Mr. Griffith much longer. So we will catch up as our regular caller. He was quite funny there. Rabbit holes. But we will catch up with him and the other caller. I wanna release Mr. Griffith tonight so he can get some rest. But Mr. Griffith, I want to thank you for coming. And I think this is an issue that is at hand right now. And you need to be on some program somewhere talking about this, because I think that what you have to say, I think it's very, very important. And, you're free to come back. And so we can talk a bit more, because this is a hot bread issue. This is a hot topic right now. And so we can talk off air in terms of presenting it, because we want to educate the people, and we want people to be able to understand exactly what the alternatives are to this, this what they're proposing. So sir, I am going to let me just make just a quick announcement here, and then I'm going to give you the final word for the night. Folks, remember on the 6th, Good Friday, we are going to have at 6 o'clock in the evening, we're going to have our show at Praise Academy of Dance, and we are looking for palm leaves. If you have a palm tree and you can donate some palm leaves to the young people, they need it to for the production that is being held there. We really need it. So if you can, or any buckets, we would be very, very happy to have those buckets, like the pigtail buckets without the cover. If they have the cover, it's fine, but we don't need the cover, is what I'm saying. Okay. So can you do that? We would really, really appreciate if we can have those things. Thank you all so much for joining, and I really do hope that you come out on Friday to support. Let's go to Mr. Griffith.
Well, first of all, before I close, I want to thank you, Marcia, for inviting me. I know I had promised some like one time, but I'm a firm believer that nothing will happen before it's time. So, I don't like to rush into too many things. But I also want to wish you success for the Palm Sunday, program that you're having at the church. I don't have that many palm leaves, but I'll see what I can do. But
Thank you.
what I would like to say is that when you mentioned about the whole issue of the flyers being a hot topic, I think one of the things that I recognized during the election time is that, it's unfortunate. I would say this: I would like to see the subject of civics come back into the schools, and I say that because of, yes, I say that because having been a student at the contemporary school, even from my school at Miss Lee Cox in private school, from that early age, there was always discussions about public affairs, not just in Barbados, but the Caribbean. And I think that one of the things that are lacking right now in Barbados that we have many young people who are not fully aware of many of the issues that are going on in Barbados. Not from they know it from what you will call a social media, but when it comes to actual some of these issues, you mentioned about cost analysis. You mentioned about how things are probably. You mentioned about coordination and management of certain departments in government. There are many people who do not really understand. They see it themselves. They are affected. But then you have the government officials who would come and paint some rosy picture or just put up a lot of social media splash. And people just look at the superficial part of it, but they don't understand the deeper elements of it. And we have to have persons in Barbados who look past that superficial, that top basic thing and go deeper into what's going on in Barbados. And I think that if we can start educating our young people on a number of the topics that happen in Barbados, that in a number of years that there will be many more persons getting involved in public activities for the right reasons, to ensure that we bring back Barbados to the Barbados that we've all known and come to love, and not the Barbados where now we have a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, trepidation of what's going to happen. You know, people leaving Barbados to find work and better living. And it's not better roads. I'm one of these people who I lived in New York for 2 years and I couldn't wait to get back to Barbados to contribute. My thing is that, we have to develop. This is our home and we are small, but we have a great place here. We don't just call it paradise, but we gotta make it a paradise. And the only way we can make it a paradise if we put our hands to the plow to get it back to where it was before.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, Dave. Thank you to the entire team. God bless you, viewers. What an awesome night we had tonight. I love this show tonight, and we will see you again on Friday. God bless you all. Bye bye.
Thank you.
And the
Bye-bye.
show is it's on Monday. I made an error.
Monday.
It is Monday, Easter Monday,
Monday.
the 6th, that we
Easter
have the
Monday.
show. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bless. Bye.
That dirty water in town. BLP, a test ain't real. Show we okay about the parish state. Hey, run water. Put them out. Cold down water. Put them out. Dirty water running from we pipe. Put them out. St. Lucie deserve better. Shout it out. Put them out. Put them out. No more lies, we changing size. Put them out. Put them out. We forgotten, left behind God's back. 7 long years break camel back. We paying bills, still catching hell. Dirty water got we under spell. Raise funds, take them to court. We want justice, that's the report. Excuses done, patience thin. No retreat, we're fighting to win. Go, please, go. Dirty water, put them out. Brown like mud, put them out. St. Lucie strong, tear them down. Put them out, put them out. Blood water, put them out. Blood water, put them out. Fight them out. St. Lucie stand up proud. St. Lucie stand up proud. Put them out. Put them out. Blood water. Blood water. Fight them out. Put them out. Put them out. St. Lucie. St. Lucie out. Put them out. Put them out. St. Lucie stand up proud. Tell the whole Barbados loud. We want clean water, no backing down. And if them can't provide, put them out.